Chapter 88. When Lu Qingmei opened the door and saw Tang Zheng, she discovered that he had a happy expression on his face. She immediately became angry as he was indeed acting and had planned this for a long time. Tang Zheng. She gnashed her teeth and roared out these two words. Tang Zheng was startled and his face immediately froze, but no matter how one looked at it, he was trying to hide his happiness. Teacher Lu, Before Tang Zheng could finish his sentence, he was interrupted by Lu Qingmei and coldly said, "Everything that happened last night was indeed an act by you. Consider me blind." Teacher Lu, there was a problem with my body last night which led to that matter. I did not do it on purpose. Tang Zheng quickly explained as this misunderstanding was becoming bigger and bigger, and he had to explain it clearly. There was a problem with your body, but I saw that you were secretly happy. I really misjudged you. You are much more sinister than Song Donghua. You are so young yet you are already so bad. How can you face your grandfather? Lu Qingmei bitterly reprimanded. Teacher Lu, I wasn't secretly happy just now. Tang Zheng defended himself. I saw it clearly, so how could it be fake? Do you dare say that you were not smiling? Tang Zheng was speechless as he was indeed smiling, but it was not because he had taken advantage of Lu Qingmei. Instead, it was because he had gained too much from last night. His cultivation had increased by leaps and bounds, and he had reached the 4th grade refining qi. It must be known that before, he only had 3 inches and 4 parts of qi, but in one night, his qi had increased by 6 parts. It was simply a miracle. Even Tian Chanzi could not help but praise him and even reminded him that this was all because of Lu Qingmei. This was the miraculous effect of the mysterious Yin body. He had also had intimate contact with Feng Shishir, but it did not have such a large effect. Of course, this was also one of the reasons why he did not share a bed with Feng Shishir the entire night. All in all, this time, not only did he take advantage of her body, the most important thing was that his cultivation had increased. Tian Chanzi incessantly urged him to just take advantage of Lu Qingmei, as that would allow him to directly break through to the 5th grade refining qi. He did not know whether to laugh or cry as he did not even know how to clean up this mess. If he still wanted to take advantage of Lu Qingmei, then he would most likely be sent to prison. Tian Chanzi reprimanded him for being a coward and said that he would just run away. The most important thing was that his cultivation would increase quickly. This was too tempting for a cultivator. It must be known that if a normal cultivator had a shortcut to break through, then they would most likely kill and rob others. How could they be as long-winded as him? Tang Zheng was not bewitched by him, and Tian Chanzi could not do anything about it. However, he was secretly very pleased with himself because this time, Tang Zheng's pure yang energy did not erupt without warning. The experienced and knowledgeable Tian Chanzi had already discovered this point, but he did not tell him. Instead, he allowed the pure yang energy to erupt at the most crucial moment last night, which allowed him to absorb Lu Qingmei's pure yin energy by accident. As a result, all of this was single-handedly facilitated by the Heaven Monk, because he needed Tang Zheng to become stronger, so that his divine soul would become stronger. Now, his divine soul was much stronger than before. However, all of this was kept in the dark about Tang Zheng. If he were to find out, who knows what he would think. He would definitely curse Tian Chanzi for being despicable. You don't have anything to say, right? Lu Qingmei saw that he was speechless and jokingly said, Teacher Lu, I was cultivating so something went wrong. Last night I was really in a semi-conscious state. I do not remember what I did, but I will not deny it. Tang Zheng took a deep breath and decided to explain himself. It was up to her whether she believed him or not. Lu Qingmei wrinkled her eyebrows. Seeing his sincere expression, she suspiciously thought, is what he said true or false? I know he was cultivating, but how could there be this kind of situation when cultivating? That's not right. If he really wanted to do something to me, then why didn't he break through the last step? This was what she was most suspicious about. If Tang Zheng really wanted to take advantage of her, then why did he give up halfway and not completely take her? Although there were many suspicious points, she did not immediately believe his words. Instead, she made an expression of disbelief. Then what does Teacher Lu plan to do? No matter what punishment, I will not complain. Seeing that everything was useless, Tang Zheng instead said, What do you plan to do? Lu Qingmei's eyebrows wrinkled. To be honest, she also did not know what to do. However, being taken advantage of by her own student, she definitely could not swallow this resentment. Tang Zheng, this matter cannot be known by a third party. If I hear about what happened last night from other people, then I will definitely not let you go. Lu Qingmei declared first. Tang Zheng hurriedly nodded and said, Teacher Lu, don't worry. I will definitely not say anything. This matter is between you and me. There will definitely not be a third party that will know. Lu Qingmei nodded. She also believed that Tang Zheng would not dare to speak carelessly. As for how to punish you, I will have to think about it carefully, Lu Qingmei said. Tang Zheng let out a sigh of relief. As long as she did not directly take him to the police station, then this matter could still be resolved. Thank you, Teacher Lu. Let me know when you have thought about it. Then, Teacher Lu, can I not come to make up lessons in the future? Tang Zheng carefully asked. After this matter, Lu Qingmei probably did not want to see him again. As expected, Lu Qingmei nodded. The two of them had a teacher-student relationship. After this matter, she really did not know how to get along with him. Moreover, if something like this were to happen again, then she would be at a disadvantage. Tang Zheng was secretly delighted. This way, he would not reveal too many flaws. Lu Qingmei stared at him without blinking. Seeing the corners of his mouth curl up, her heart moved. She immediately guessed what he was thinking and immediately said, Tang Zheng, you must bring out your true standard in this month's exam. Otherwise, you will suffer. What? Tang Zheng was shocked. I'm telling you to stop pretending to be stupid and bring out your true ability, Lu Qingmei decisively said. Tang Zheng said with a bitter face, Teacher Lu, last month's exam was my true standard. You think I will believe a mouth full of lies? In short, if you do not get first place in the school this time, then you just wait. You have bad intentions towards your teacher. If your grandfather were to find out about this, you can imagine what the consequences would be. Tang Zheng was frightened. If his grandfather were to find out about this, it would be strange if he did not break his legs. The key point was that he would be heartbroken. Tang Zheng had no other choice. He could only nod and say, Then I will do my best. Lu Qingmei finally saw his dejected appearance. She proudly pursed her lips and smiled. Her anger was finally diluted by quite a bit as she said, In any case, I only look at the results. You can leave. After she finished speaking, she slammed the door shut. She leaned against the door with a trace of a smile on her face. Little guy, this time you can no longer hide your strength. From Tang Zheng's reaction, she confirmed her previous guess. He really had been hiding his strength the entire time, although she did not know why he did so. She lightly patted her face and said to herself, Lu Qingmei, last night's matter was just a dream. Don't think about it anymore. Forget about it. However, in the future, I will use this matter to threaten this brat. Hong, trying to play smart with me. In reality, Lu Qingmei was a prideful person deep down in her bones. She was also a calm person. Although she suffered a loss and was of course angry, once she calmed down, she knew that she could not do anything to Tang Zheng because of this matter. The key point was that she subconsciously believed Tang Zheng's explanation. In addition, he still had his grandfather. If something happened to him, then what would the old man do? In short, Lu Qingmei, who had never suffered a loss before, suffered a loss in the hands of Tang Zheng for the first time. Moreover, it was not a small loss. Tang Zheng went downstairs uneasily. Looking at the sunlight shining from the horizon, his eyes were also plated with a layer of gold. He did not close his eyes. Instead, he forced himself to open his eyes wide. He roared, dispelling the dark clouds in his heart, and said, This result is already the best. I don't want to think about it anymore. Now, I need to work hard on my education and practice martial arts. But when he thought about practicing martial arts, his heart began to beat like a drum. His strength was increasing too quickly. The Purian energy was not enough. This was too dangerous. There would not be such a good opportunity next time. If he really exploded and died, then it would be a great loss. He walked straight to Tang Zheng's school. But then, his phone rang. It turned out that it was a call from his grandfather. The old man was worried when he did not see him come home last night. Tang Zheng hurriedly explained that he had stayed at his teacher's house to make up lessons. Thus, He had stayed at his teacher's house to rest. The old man did not think too much of it and told him to study hard and repay his teacher's kindness. Tang Zheng walked while talking on the phone. He did not notice that there was a car not far away. Song Donghua's face was gloomy as he stared at Tang Zheng's back. Bang! He slammed his fist on the steering wheel and hatefully said to himself, "Despicable." He actually stayed at Lu Qingmei's house for the night. Did anything happen between the two of them last night? No wonder Lu Qingmei is so good to him. What make up lessons? I think it's more like an affair. Yesterday, he originally wanted to lure Tang Zheng with benefits and make him his spy. He never thought that after waiting for an entire night, he would not see Tang Zheng come downstairs. He burned with anger and wanted to rush up and catch them in the act. But he did not do so because he did not have the right to do so. Originally, he still had some respect for Lu Qingmei's cold arrogance. But ever since he confirmed the affair between Tang Zheng and Lu Qingmei, he did not have much respect for her. What was there to respect about a teacher who could get together with her own student? Of course, he would not be so stupid as to retreat and give up. Instead, he would pursue her even more fiercely because he believed that this would give him a better chance. But this was not admiration. It was purely because of Lu Qingmei's background. But as a man, after discovering this fact, he could not do nothing. He might not be able to touch Lu Qingmei, but how could he not deal with a student? Thus, all of his anger was directed at Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng did not know that he was being hated by others. At this moment, he was being looked at strangely by the strange gazes of others. The students who came and went were all pointing at him, whispering and snickering at the same time. These people are really annoying. They must have spread the news of yesterday's matter. He quickly walked into the classroom, and the originally noisy classroom immediately quieted down. Almost everyone was quiet as they stared at him, as if they were looking at a mirror. Not long after, bursts of laughter rang out. Some people were laughing so hard that they were about to cry. Tang Zheng did not even look at them and secretly cursed them for being crazy. He walked straight to his seat, but was stopped by Feng Yong. Chapter 89. What happened to my face? Tang Zheng curiously asked. Take a look for yourself. Feng Yong seemed to be too embarrassed to say, so he turned on the front camera. Tang Zheng's eyes immediately opened wide. Damn, when did this happen? He saw that there was a clear 5-finger mark on his face. Without a doubt, this was done by someone else. But he completely did not remember who did it. It must have been done by Teacher Lu last night. He thought for a moment and immediately guessed. Other than her, there was no one else. She must have seen it in the morning but did not remind him. She clearly wanted him to make a fool of himself. He regretted it. Why didn't he see it earlier? This time he was embarrassed. No wonder on the way here, so many people were pointing at him and he was confused. The most important thing was that it was hard to explain. He subconsciously looked towards Yi Dingdang and Fang Shishir. They were also looking at him. Yi Dingdang's face was mischievous and curious while Fang Shishir's face was sad and disappointed. His heart skipped a beat. Yesterday he had made Fang Shishir very unhappy and she had been ignoring him. This finger mark made it impossible for him to clear his name even if he jumped into the Yellow River. Feng Yong asked with incomparable worship, Boss, you're too awesome. Which beauty did you provoke this time? Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Tang Zheng unhappily rolled his eyes at him and said, Don't talk nonsense. Sit down and read. Then he walked towards his seat. Fang Shishir saw him walk over and lowered her head again, pretending to read. On the other hand, Yi Dingding looked at him with interest and laughed. Whose masterpiece is this? Tang Zheng rolled his eyes and said, I hit myself. The credibility of your words is too low. Don't tell me you were trying to take advantage of a beauty and got slapped. Yi Dingdang said with schadenfreude. A woman's intuition was truly terrifying. She actually guessed correctly. But no matter what, she would never have guessed that this beauty was their teacher in charge, Lu Qingmei. This was because this was too heaven-defying. Tang Zheng snorted and simply ignored her. That's why it's not easy to be a pervert. If you're not good at learning, don't come out and embarrass yourself. Yi Dingdang continued to talk to herself. No one will think you're mute if you don't talk. Yo, you're probably the first person to still be so bold after doing something bad. Yi Dingding wasn't afraid of him and continued to tease him. Tang Zheng was speechless. He looked at Fang Shishir nervously, afraid that she would deepen the conflict and misunderstanding because of this matter. Although he and Fang Shishir had a conflict yesterday, he was a man after all. He was ready to take the initiative to reconcile and resolve the conflict. Therefore, he secretly wrote a note and handed it to Fang Shishir to seek reconciliation. But this note was like a stone sinking into the sea. Fang Shishir didn't pay any attention to it, nor did she reply to his note. Instead, she focused on reading. Tang Zheng wanted to talk to her, but the teacher walked into class. He had no choice but to prepare to have a good talk with her after school. But during class, he didn't stay idle. While he listened to the class, he also used his qi to clear the meridians on his face and dissolve the blood clots. Relying on his vigorous qi, the handprint on his face disappeared in just one class as if it had never appeared. Yi Dingding discovered this scene and opened her eyes wide in shock. Dispelling the blood clot, she was also able to do it, but she was clearly not as fast as him. She unwillingly touched his arm and curiously asked, "Just what is your current cultivation level?" She found it hard to understand. His cultivation level was clearly lower than hers, but he was able to do many things that she couldn't do. "It's equivalent to a 4th-grade refining body," Tang Zheng replied. "Ah, how did you catch up to me so quickly?" Yi Dingding had always comforted herself with the fact that her cultivation level was higher than Tang Zheng's. But in just a few days, he broke through another realm. Tang Zheng laughed and said, "It's because I'm a genius." Yi Dingding rolled her eyes at him. She stared at him with her sparkling eyes and expectantly said, "Do you have a good method? Share it with me." Tang Zheng shook his head. This was all because of his 9-yang saint body. How could he have a good method? Stingy. Yi Dingding pouted. "Little brat, I have a method to quickly increase this girl's cultivation." Tian Chanzi suddenly appeared. "What method?" Tang Zheng was very curious. This girl's cultivation method is not suitable for her. She has a purine body, so she needs a softing cultivation method. Only then will she be able to display the full potential of her body. Tang Zheng carefully pondered and found that it was indeed so. His 9-yang saint body was also compatible with the ancient clear heaven scroll, allowing him to achieve twice the result with half the effort. "I have a cultivation method here called the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra. This is not a cultivation method, but a martial cultivation method. It was created specifically for women." Jade Maiden Heart Sutra? Is it very powerful? Hey, you'll know once you try it. She has also learned martial arts before, so it shouldn't be a problem for her to learn this, right? Of course it shouldn't be a problem. Do you think that every cultivation method is as abnormal as the ancient clear heaven scroll and requires the practitioner to be a blank piece of paper? If that was the case, then there wouldn't be so many people fighting over cultivation methods in the cultivation world. Tian Chanzi snorted as he despised Tang Zheng's ignorance. Tang Zheng did not mind as he quickly copied down the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra according to Tian Chanzi's instructions. "What are you writing?" Tang Zheng did not know what Tian Chanzi was thinking. He only felt uncomfortable under Yi Dingdong's complicated gaze. Yi Dingdong's gaze was very strange. There were too many things that he did not understand. In fact, Yi Dingdong's thoughts were also very complicated. This cultivation technique was undoubtedly a priceless treasure, but Tang Zheng just casually gave it to her. Could it be that he was interested in her? Her heart was moved. The more she thought about it, the more she felt that this possibility was very high. She could not help but recall the bits and pieces between the two of them. Although there were many bumps and conflicts, the two of them had more and more contact. Moreover, their relationship was getting better and better. It seemed that there really was a possibility that they could develop into a couple. Thinking of this, her heart palpitated. Yi Dingding returned home in a daze. Her hand was still holding that piece of paper. Every word was deeply imprinted in her mind. But when she looked at those words, it was as if she was looking at Tang Zheng. She shook her head vigorously and muttered to herself, "Yi Dingding, what's wrong with you? Why are you thinking about this nonsense? But didn't you already say that you want to be his girlfriend? Why don't you just go with the flow and follow him?" Another voice refuted, She screamed and shook her head vigorously to chase away the voices in her mind. Feng Xinyang parked the car and just happened to walk in. Seeing her like this, she curiously asked, "Ding dang, you've been so distracted the whole way. What are you doing? What exactly is written on that paper that makes you so fascinated? Here, take a look for yourself." Ding dang directly handed the paper to her. Feng Xinyang took the paper and glanced at it. Then it was as if she was frozen in time. Her eyes were completely locked onto the lines of delicate and pretty handwriting. Ding dang crossed her arms and proudly looked at the shocked Feng Xinyang. She rarely saw Feng Xinyang like this. After a while, Feng Xinyang suddenly raised her head. Her eyes widened as she asked, "Ding dang, where did you get this? Why don't you guess?" Ding dang pretended to be mysterious as she said, "Guess my ass. Hurry up and tell me, who gave you this set of martial arts?" Feng Xinyang's face was unprecedentedly serious. There was also an uncontrollable excitement mixed in. "Why don't you first tell me what this set of martial arts is like?" Ding dang was not in a hurry to reveal the mystery as she calmly asked. Chapter 90. Feng Xinyang directly handed the Jade Women's Heart Sutra to her husband. Yi Tianlei was someone who knew what was good for him, so he suspiciously took the piece of paper. But after looking at it, he could not take his eyes off of it. He felt as if this light piece of paper was extremely heavy, and his breathing could not help but become hurried. Where did this come from? Yi Tianlei anxiously asked. Feng Xinyang shrugged her shoulders and helplessly pointed at Yi Dingdang and said, "Ask your daughter." Yi Tianlei's gaze fell on Yi Dingdang. Yi Dingdang was very satisfied with her parents' reaction. It seems like the Jade Women's Heart Sutra was even more powerful than she had thought. "Dingdang, where did this come from?" Yi Dingdang did not continue to speak in riddles. She only looked at Yi Xuanji and said, "Tangzheng gave it to me." "What? Tangzheng?" Yi Tianlei and his wife both simultaneously trembled. Their voices suddenly rose a few decibels as they found it hard to believe. Even though Tangzheng had already brought them many miracles, they did not look down on him in the slightest. But this technique still surpassed their understanding of Tangzheng. The husband and wife both looked at each other and thought that their understanding of Tangzheng was still too shallow. Yi Dingdang solemnly nodded her head. He said that this Jade Women's Heart Sutra is very suitable for me to cultivate, and that my progress will be very fast. The husband and wife both nodded their heads. Of course, they could see the extraordinariness of this technique. It was as if this technique was tailor-made for women. Moreover, it was even more mysterious than other female techniques. Feng Xinyang could not help but admit that the Jade Women's Heart Sutra was much more profound than the technique she was currently cultivating. Yi Xuanji did not say a word as he looked at the three people. After hearing Tangzheng's name, he could not help but knit his brows. He snorted and said, "That brat? You guys think too highly of him." As he spoke, he reached out and snatched the Jade Women's Heart Sutra. He looked at it with ridicule. It was clear that he thought the three of them were making a mountain out of a molehill. "Father." Yi Tianlei wanted to argue, but he saw that Yi Xuanji's eyes were fixed on the Jade Heart Sutra. His face became serious, and his pupils seemed to be glowing. He did not move at all, as if he had been immobilized. Even his breathing had become hurried. The other three didn't dare to disturb him. Only Yi Dingdang crossed her arms to vent her anger. She really liked to see Yi Xuanji like this. Didn't he always boast about how great he was? So he was actually like this. Moreover, he was shocked by Tangzheng's things. She wanted him to know how extraordinary Tangzheng was. The room was so quiet that even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. The three of them held their breaths, and only Yi Xuanji's slightly rapid breathing was particularly eye-catching. After a while, Yi Xuanji finally raised his head. He stared straight at Yi Dingdang and asked, "Tell me the truth. Where did this come from?" He did not believe that it came from Tangzheng's hands. Yi Dingdang's face suddenly changed. She unhappily said, "I already said that Tangzheng gave it to me. It's up to you to believe it or not." Yi Tianlei immediately glared at his daughter and said, "Dingdang, how can you talk to your grandfather like that?" Yi Dingdang rolled her eyes and said, "Hung, I already said it. He just didn't believe it." Yi Xuanji really did not believe it. He was already a ninth-grade post-celestial stage expert. He was a true martial arts expert. His ability to appreciate things was much higher than Yi Tianlei and the others. There were simply too many mysteries in this cultivation technique. It strongly impacted his strong nerves, making him unable to suppress the excitement in his heart. He was more far-sighted than others, and thought more than others. With such a female cultivation method, then in the future, the female members of the family would be able to cultivate and rapidly increase their cultivation. This was too beneficial to the Yi clan. The Ye family's strength would increase by another level because of the Jade Women's Heart Sutra. Yi Xuanji did not pay attention to Yi Dingdong's attitude. Instead, he picked up the Jade Women's Heart Sutra as if he had found a treasure and said, "I will take it back and carefully study the mysteries within." When Yi Dingdang heard this, she immediately jumped up and shouted, "This is mine. How can I give it to you? Give it back." She reached out with her jade hands to take back the Jade Women's Heart Sutra, but Yi Xuanji easily dodged it. Yi Dingdang was not willing to give up. She rushed forward again without any fear. Yi Tianlei jumped up in fright. Yi Xuanji was the most respectful. No one in the Ye family dared to make a move against him. Yi Dingdang became the first. "Dingdang, don't be rude." Yi Tianlei quickly stopped his daughter. Yi Dingdang was indignant and roared. "The Jade Women's Heart Sutra was given to me by Tang Zheng. What right does he have to take it away?" Yi Tianlei awkwardly advised, "The old man is the head of the family. We have to listen to his arrangements. If you want to listen to his arrangements, that's your problem. Anyways, I don't want to listen. Give the Jade Women's Heart Sutra back to me." Yi Dingdong's face was red. She directly stretched out her jade hands in front of Yi Xuanji as if she was asking for a debt. Yi Xuanji's expression did not change. He solemnly asked, "Dingdang, tell me the truth. Who gave this to you? Don't say it's that little brat. I don't believe that he has such a powerful martial technique. Don't think that I'm old and blind. I know the value of this martial technique better than you." Yi Dingdang coldly snorted and ignored him. "Since you don't believe me, then I won't waste my breath." Yi Tianlei awkwardly explained, "Father, Dingdang will not lie. She said that Tang Zheng gave it to her, so it must be true." Feng Xinyang also nodded in agreement. "I believe that it was the little handsome brother who gave it to her," but in her heart, she was overjoyed. Her discerning eyes were not wrong. This little handsome brother really gave her too many surprises. Yi Xuanji's eyes flashed. Although he was very unwilling to believe it, but the other side made a solemn vow. He had no choice but to believe it. However, this completely exceeded his expectations. "Is this little brat really that extraordinary?" Yi Xuanji muttered to himself. It was as if he was asking the other side, but also as if he was asking himself. Feng Xinyang's heart was moved. She felt that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to recommend Tang Zheng. She hurriedly said, "Old man, Tang Zheng has already created so many miracles. That's why I am not surprised. But why did he give this martial technique to Dingdang? You must know that if this martial technique were to spread, it would attract many people to fight with their lives." Yi Xuanji muttered, "Didn't I say it before? The little handsome brother is Dingdong's fiancé. Giving it to her is only natural." Feng Xinyang said. When Yi Dingdang heard the word fiancé, her heart was moved. Could it be that he really gave it to me because of this? From the reaction of her family's elders, she already understood that she had underestimated the value of the Jade Women's Heart Sutra. This was truly a priceless treasure. But he gave it to her so easily. Yi Xuanji muttered to himself. His eyes were deep and no one knew what he was thinking. Yi Dingdong's eyes were fixed on the Jade Women's Heart Sutra. Since it was a priceless treasure, then it could not be given to anyone else. "Give it back to me." She broke the silence again. Yi Tianlei hurriedly used his eyes to stop his daughter. Yi Dingdang did not seem to notice. Feng Xinyang did not stop her either. Instead, her lips curled into a smile. She would not stop her daughter. This was her daughter's thing. Why should she give it to someone else? It has to be known that this pair of mother and daughter did not have much affection for the Ye family in the capital. They probably had more resentment than good feelings. Yi Xuanji stared at this granddaughter of his that he was not familiar with. He realized that he did not understand her at all. From the beginning, She did not respect him like other people did. Ding dang, the Jade Women's Heart Sutra is very important to the Ye family. Can you give it to me for safekeeping? Yi Xuanji asked. No. The Jade Women's Heart Sutra is such a precious thing. Tangzheng only gave it to me. I cannot give it to anyone else. Yi Dingdang did not relent and refused. Feng Xinyang looked at her daughter with praise. This is Feng Xinyang's daughter. You have guts. Old man, you are the head of the family. If you really want to steal from me, then I am definitely not your opponent. However, if word of this spreads out in the future and others know that you steal from the younger generation, your reputation will be too resounding. Yi Dingdang suddenly had an idea and said, this was really a naked insult to him, but Yi Dingdang did not care. For the Jade Women's Heart Sutra, she did not care about offending the old man. Sure enough, Yi Xuanji's expression changed and he coldly said, are you threatening me? Yi Dingdang shrugged and said, it can't be considered a threat. I am just speaking the truth. This kind of big shot cared a lot about his face. If this matter were to spread, then it would definitely be criticized. It would damage the Ye family's reputation. To even steal from his own granddaughter, isn't the head of the family a little too low? Suddenly, Yi Xuanji's expression changed and he laughed wildly. Haha, why would I steal from you? Take it. As he spoke, he casually threw it. The light paper flew towards Yi Dingdang like a sharp blade. Yi Dingdang did not have any stage fright. She reached out and grabbed it. However, she felt a sharp pain in her palm, but she endured it. It was clear that her words had challenged Yi Xuanji's dignity. As the head of the family, this could be considered a small lesson for her. Yi Dingdang ignored the pain and let out a sigh of relief. As long as the Jade Women's Heart Sutra did not fall into the other party's hands, this little bit of grievance was nothing. At the same time, her heart was filled with anticipation. She must immediately cultivate the Jade Women's Heart Sutra and increase her strength. Yi Dingdang said a word and flew back to her room. Yi Tianlei looked at his daughter's back and said, Old man, Dingdang is still young and doesn't know any better. Yi Xuanji waved his hand and said, Investigate Tangzheng for me. Yi Tianlei's face turned ugly and said, Dad, I've already investigated him before, but I didn't find anything. Hung, then where did this Jade Women's Heart Sutra come from? He has a master. This should have been passed down to him by that mysterious master. Feng Xinyang said first, bringing out the mysterious master behind Tangzheng. Master? Before, Yi Xuanji did not realize how extraordinary Tangzheng was. Apart from the flying celestial sword technique and the fact that he hid his cultivation, he was no different from a normal person. But this time, the Jade Women's Heart Sutra really shocked him. Then investigate his master. I want to see just what kind of person he is. Yi Tianlei shook his head and said, Dad, there is no trace. Moreover, the Ye family is indebted to Tangzheng. This time, he even passed down the Jade Women's Heart Sutra to Dingdang. We should be grateful to him. How can we investigate him? It seems like your injury really was healed by him, Yi Xuanji muttered to himself and said seriously. This time, he really began to take Tangzheng seriously. Chapter 91. Yi Xuanji finally began to take Tangzheng's strength seriously. Yi Tianlei, seeing this, quickly suggested for Tangzheng to treat his injuries. Yi Xuanji hesitated. He originally came to ordinary balance with hopes of being treated, but after searching the entire city, it was like looking for a needle in a haystack. There was not a single trace of the legendary godly doctor. Even the king of medicine personally went to every hospital and pharmacy to search, but still found nothing. Although only a day had passed, the beginning was not ideal. That was why he and Yi Tianlei returned with a face full of disappointment. Now that Tangzheng had shown signs of hope, Yi Xuanji was truly moved. It was not that he was not afraid of death, but the more powerful a person was, the more they would cherish their life. However, the last time he met with Tangzheng was too embarrassing. Now that he had to beg him, Yi Xuanji felt that it was too shameful. Yi Tianlei clearly saw his father's hesitation and said, The king of medicine is a divine doctor, and Tangzheng is also not ordinary. Why don't we arrange for them to meet and let the king of medicine test Tangzheng's true abilities? If Tangzheng really has a way, then it won't be too late to ask him for treatment. Father, what do you think of my suggestion? Yi Xuanji was overjoyed, but he did not show it. This way, he would not let go of this opportunity. If Tang Zheng really did have the ability, then he would think of a way to ask him for treatment. If Tang Zheng was not capable, then there was no need for him to ask for treatment. Okay, you go arrange this. Yi Xuanji finally agreed. Tang Zheng did not know that the Jade Women's Heart Sutra had caused so much trouble. He was currently with Feng Shishir, trying to resolve the conflict between the two. Feng Shishir did not immediately leave. Instead, she lowered her head and did not say a word. Shishir, this time it was all a misunderstanding, so don't be angry anymore, okay? Tang Zheng said in a soft voice. You and Yi Dingdang must be hiding something from me. Feng Shishir finally spoke. This is all her nonsense. Last time, I also told you that I was helping her, so I lied to the public that I was her fiancé. Tang Zheng tried his best to explain. Well, maybe she already likes you, and this is just an excuse, she said bitterly. Tang Zheng was speechless. After a while, he said, that's her business. Anyway, I don't have the intention. Then what about the handprint on your face this morning? Tang Zheng hesitated. She had promised Lu Qingmei that she wouldn't tell a third party, so of course, she couldn't say it. So she said, sure, in short, this matter is definitely not what you think it is. But as for what exactly happened, I promised others that I wouldn't tell them. Feng Shishir finally raised her head. She looked at him with tears in her eyes and said, if you don't want to say it, then don't say it. Don't ever tell me in the future. I don't want to know anything about you. Feng Shishir finally exploded. The emotions that she had been accumulating for 2 days erupted like a volcano at this moment. Tang Zheng was stunned. He didn't expect her to be so angry. The two of them were both novices in the field of love. They were ignorant of how to handle the relationship between each other. The crisis finally appeared. Shishir. Tang Zheng was at a loss for words. Feng Shishir was very sad. So he had hidden so much. What was she? What girlfriend? She was nothing. 2 streams of tears flowed out. She turned around and ran. Tang Zheng stared at her back, not knowing whether or not he should chase after her. Suddenly, a mud truck quickly drove over. Feng Shishir obviously didn't see it. The driver also didn't expect a person to rush out from the side of the road. The truck and the person were about to collide. Shishir, be careful. Tang Zheng was so scared that his 3 souls almost left his body. His figure flashed, and he rushed forward without a care for his own safety. Feng Shishir heard the shout and subconsciously turned her head to look. She just happened to see the mud truck rushing straight at her. Immediately, she was scared stiff. Her face was ashen, and her legs felt like they were filled with lead. She couldn't move. I'm going to die. This thought appeared in her mind. Immediately, she regretted it. Why did she have to fight with Tang Zheng? She liked him, so she should have trusted him. In the face of death, all conflicts were insignificant. She really wanted to say sorry to Tang Zheng, but it was already too late. Everything would come to an end at this moment. Suddenly, she felt a flash in front of her. She was tightly hugged by a person. This embrace was very warm and gave her a sense of security. No matter how big the storm was, it wouldn't be able to hurt her. Moreover, that familiar face was right in front of her. She subconsciously wanted to open her mouth, but she heard a muffled bang. She was sent flying. That face revealed a pained expression, but that pair of hands still held her tightly. She only felt a tremor pass through her. Tang Zheng, she finally called out. Following the sound of the 2 people landing on the ground, Tang Zheng spat out a mouthful of blood which landed on her chest. It's good that you're okay. Tang Zheng said with difficulty as his head tilted and he closed his eyes. Tang Zheng, don't scare me. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Feng Shishir turned pale with fright. Tears flowed down her face as she shouted, Wake up! I'm not angry anymore. I won't be angry anymore. Please forgive me. Open your eyes and take a look. But Tang Zheng still did not have any reaction. When the truck driver saw this scene, he was scared out of his wits. Seeing that there were already many people rushing over, he stepped on the accelerator and fled. Quickly call an ambulance. Fang Shishir cried bitterly as she screamed at the top of her lungs. Tang Zheng was sent into the operating room. Fang Shishir anxiously waited outside. She did not care about the dust on her face and the blood on her chest. She could only silently pray, "Tang Zheng, nothing must happen to you. Otherwise, I will never forgive myself. You must quickly get better. In the future, I will be obedient. We will be good and love each other." Sure. Suddenly, Shi Mingqin rushed over from the end of the corridor. Her face was filled with anxiety. Fang Chongwa followed behind her. He could not hide his concern. "Mom." Fang Shishir saw her parents and threw herself into her mother's embrace. She began to cry. Shi Mingqin hurriedly turned her back and asked with concern, "Shishir, you were hit by a car. Are you injured anywhere?" "Aya, there is blood on your clothes. Hurry, doctor, come quickly. Hurry and treat my daughter." "Mom, I'm fine. This is not my blood. If it's not your blood, then whose? When I heard that you were in a car accident, I immediately rushed over with your father. Just what is going on?" Shi Mingqin was like a machine gun as she chattered on. Fang Chonghua was a bit more calm as he asked, Sure, don't cry. Tell me what is going on." "I was not careful and was almost hit by a car. It was Tang Zheng who saved me. This blood is his," Fang Shishir said with heartache. "Tang Zheng?" Fang Chonghua was shocked. Shi Mingqin did not care about Tang Zheng's life or death. Instead, she happily said, "This means that you are fine?" "I am fine, but Tang Zheng is injured and is currently being treated," Fang Shishir said as her tears fell again. "Be good, don't cry. As long as you are fine, then everything is fine." Shi Mingqin hurriedly wiped away her tears. "I really thank the heavens. When we return, we will go to the temple to burn incense." Fang Shishir struggled out of her mother's embrace and angrily said, "Mom, how can you be like this? It was Tang Zheng who saved me, not the heavens. It should have been me lying inside. My life was exchanged for by Tang Zheng." Shi Mingqin was stunned for a moment, as she had never seen her daughter so angry. For a moment, she did not know how to react. Fang Chonghua hurriedly interrupted, "Your mother is also worried about you. Then how is Tang Zheng now?" Fang Shishir sadly shook her head and said, "I also do not know. The doctor is currently treating him." Shishir, relax. Heaven helps the worthy. The doctor will definitely treat him," Fang Chonghua comforted. Shi Mingqin curled her lips and viciously thought, "It would be best if he died. That way he would not bother our family's baby." Sure, you should go back and rest. We will inform his family to come and keep watch," Fang Chonghua suggested. "Family?" Fang Shishir's eyes lit up. "No, we can't inform his family. No, I have to go to his house. Otherwise his grandfather will definitely be worried if he doesn't come home." Saying this, she stood up and ran out. Sure, where are you going?" The husband and wife asked in fright. "You guys stay here and keep watch. If there is any news, inform me. I have to go to his house to appease his grandfather." Fang Shishir finished speaking and ran down the stairs, disappearing into the night. She had only been to Tang Zheng's house once, but she remembered the way. She called a taxi and rushed over. On the way, she casually bought a set of clothes and changed out of the bloody clothes on her body. She tidied up her face so that she would not look so sad as she thought about what to say later. The taxi arrived in front of the small square house in a moment. The dim yellow light shone out as she walked over and knocked on the door. "Grandfather, are you home?" Fang Shishir tried her best to make her voice sound normal. "Who is it?" Tang Dahai walked out and Fang Shishir's eyes flashed with a strange light. Tang Dahai seemed to have become 10 years younger, making her almost unable to recognize him. But she still steadied her heart and forced out a smile, saying, "Grandfather, it's me. You seem to be much better." "So it's little Zheng's girlfriend. Why are you here? Is something the matter?" Tang Dahai gently smiled and asked. The word girlfriend made Fang Shishir almost cry. So his closest grandfather also knew about their matters. From this point, it could be seen how serious he was towards her, but she actually doubted him. She felt that she deserved to die 10,000 deaths. "It's me, grandfather. Our class is going to have an activity today, so he won't be able to come back tonight. That's why he wanted me to inform you. This child. If he can't come back, then just give me a call. There's no need for you to make a trip. His phone ran out of battery. Anyway, I'm free, so I came here to see you, Grandpa. Child, you are considerate. Come in and sit for a while. Tang Dehai warmly greeted. Fang Shishir shook her head and said, I still have to rush back. Next time I'll come see grandfather. Please take care. Chapter 92. Yi Tianlei called Tang Zheng, but the other party's phone was turned off. He did not know that the car accident had caused Tang Zheng's old man to retire early. He could only tell Yi Dingdang to invite Tang Zheng home the next day. At this moment, Tang Zheng had already finished his surgery and was lying on the bed. The huge impact caused 2 of his ribs to break, and he was still unconscious. Fang Shishir sat by the hospital bed, holding his hand as she stared at him. Shishir, it's too late. You still have school tomorrow, so let's go home first. Shi Mingqin advised. Fang Shishir firmly shook her head and said, No, I want to accompany him and wait for him to wake up. How could he wake up so easily? Even the doctors cannot determine when he will wake up, so there is no point in you staying here. The high school exams are about to begin, so you have to focus on the high school exams. Shi Mingqin earnestly advised. Fang Shishir fiercely raised her head and resolutely said, If he doesn't wake up, then I won't take the high school exams. Shi Mingqin was shocked and shouted, How can you do that? You can't not take the high school exams for him. Fang Chonghua also advised, Shishir, listen to your mother. There is no point in you staying here with him. He will naturally wake up when he needs to. Fang Shishir stubbornly shook her head and said, This is all my fault. If he doesn't wake up, then I will accompany him for the rest of my life. Her large eyes were filled with a resolute expression. The Fang couple looked at each other. It seems like they underestimated their daughter's determination. Shi Mingqin fiercely glared at the unconscious Tang Zheng, hating him to the core. You guys can go back. Fang Shishir waved her hand and ignored her parents as she focused on Tang Zheng. His calm face seemed to have an additional layer of luster that captivated her. Shi Mingqin wanted to speak, but was pulled back by her husband. He gave her a look and the two left the room. What are you doing? Why don't you let me say it? Shi Mingqin angrily asked. Do you think she will listen to you at this time? Instead, it backfired and pushed his daughter to the other party. Fang Chonghua analyzed. Shi Mingqin unwillingly said, Then don't tell me you didn't hear what the doctor said? It was still uncertain whether he would wake up in this situation. Was he going to let his daughter not go to school and stay by his side? Does that make sense? Let's not talk about it for now. After all, he saved Shishir. Shi Mingqin's eyes flashed as she said, He saved Shishir? Humph, I don't think so. Shishir is too innocent. I think she has been deceived by him. What if this is a sad drama? He just wants to firmly hold on to Shishir and then use our family to climb to the top in one step. How can I not understand this kind of person's thoughts? Seeing that his wife was getting more and more ridiculous, Fang Chonghua hurriedly reprimanded her. But how could Shi Mingqin be willing to give up so easily? Her eyes lit up as if she had found a direction as she excitedly said, Right? This matter must be investigated clearly. We must find that driver and see if he is colluding with this little brat to deliberately act. Chonghua, it's not like you don't know how sinister a person's heart is. This matter must be thoroughly investigated. Fang Chonghua's heart moved. He had been in the business world for so many years, so he understood the sinister human heart. Not to mention this kind of sad drama, he had seen even more outrageous things. Moreover, he only had one daughter, so this son-in-law candidate was the most important. Otherwise, his life's work would be ruined. Although he had already decided to send his daughter abroad after the high school exams, there was still a month to go. During this period of time, many things could happen. Looking at his daughter, it seemed that she was deeply in love. If all of this was really done by Tang Zheng, then he must be on guard and cut off his feelings. I will investigate. You stay in the hospital and take care of your daughter. Fang Chonghua solemnly said. Shi Mingqin was overjoyed and hurriedly nodded her head. Relax, I will keep an eye on this little brat. At the same time, in a nightclub, Boss Fan was sitting on a soft sofa as a woman with heavy makeup laid on his crotch. Suddenly, Boss Fan straightened his body and grabbed her head. He half closed his eyes and used all his strength to shake her a few times. He sucked in a breath of cold air and then comfortably leaned back on the sofa. He lightly glanced at the little brother at the door and said, "Speak. What is it that you want to disturb this daddy's good mood?" The woman tidied herself up and half of her body was hanging on his body. The little brother enviously looked at the woman and swallowed his saliva and said, "Boss, you told me to keep an eye on that little brat." Today, he finally made a move. "Oh, what's going on?" Fan Feifei sat up straight, his expression becoming serious. Ever since the last time he suffered at the hands of Tang Zheng, not only did he lose his gun, he also lost face. He sent people to keep an eye on Tang Zheng and wanted to find something to use against him so that he could take revenge. Although Huang Ziang had already promised to take care of Tang Zheng, who knows how long it would take for him to break through to the pre-celestial realm. Therefore, Boss Fan wanted to see if he had a way to get rid of Tang Zheng. This little brat was hit by a car today and was seriously injured. He is now lying in the hospital? The little brother laughed and said with schadenfreude, "Haha, the heavens are helping me. The heavens have opened their eyes. This little brat is too arrogant. Even the heavens don't like him and want to take care of him." Boss Fan stared blankly for a moment and then began to madly laugh. The little brother hurriedly nodded his head and said, "Yes, he dared to go against you, boss. This is the same as seeking his own death." "Then how is he now?" Boss Fan asked again. "He was sent to the hospital. I don't know what happened, but he was hit by a truck. Even if he didn't die, he would still lose a layer of skin." "Hey, good. You send people to the hospital to check. I want to know if he died or not. If he didn't die, then I don't mind sending him on his way." Boss Fan clenched his fists and cracked them. Yi Dingdang sat in the car, and her mouth unconsciously brimmed with a smile. Last night, she impatiently began to practice the Jade Women's Heart Sutra. Priceless treasures were truly extraordinary. In just one night, she felt that her inner strength had increased by a lot, and there were faint signs of her breaking through to the 7th grade refining body. It must be known that she had been wandering around the 6th grade refining body for almost a year without any signs of breaking through. In just one night, she had such a great harvest. Suddenly, she liked the Jade Women's Heart Sutra even more. Of course, she also felt even more grateful towards Tang Zheng. No one knows a daughter better than her mother. Feng Xinyang said with gratification, "Ding Dang, remember today's mission. You must invite Tang Zheng home and treat him better. Don't make a fuss. You're not like a girl at all." "How am I not treating him well?" Yi Dingdang retorted with a pout. "You see, I just said one sentence and you talk back. How can this be? Although girls need personality, when you are together with Tang Zheng, you still need to show a gentle side. After all, boys still like this." Feng Xinyang taught by example. Yi Dingdong's face turned red and said, "Feng Xinyang, what are you talking about? Moreover, I don't see any gentleness in you. Didn't Dad still marry you?" "Yeah, damn girl. Do you think you can compare to me? I am called a natural beauty with 10,000 types of charm. That's why your dad obediently took the bait. You can't do the same. You didn't inherit my excellent genes, so you can only rely on hard work to catch Tang Zheng's heart." Feng Xinyang, your face is too thick, boasting shamelessly. "I'm just speaking the truth. Before you didn't think that Tang Zheng was good, but now that you have more contact with him, you know how extraordinary he is. That's why my eyesight is better than yours. Obediently listen to me, and I'll guarantee that you'll be able to take him down." Yi Dingdong's heart moved, but she did not refute. It was as if Tang Zheng was getting closer and closer to the image of a peerless hero in her heart. But when she arrived at school and the bell rang, she did not see Tang Zheng. Immediately her face became ugly because Fang Shishir also did not come to class. These two people who had never skipped class disappeared together. This matter was too strange. Could it be that the two of them did something bad last night, so they can't get out of bed today? She heard some things about this and could not help but think in this direction. Gradually, her heart began to panic and there was a trace of sourness. How can he be like this? He's too much of a beast. No, I have to figure it out. She secretly dialed Tang Zheng's phone, but it was turned off. Immediately, she became angry. He actually dared to turn off his phone. He must be doing something bad. She had mixed feelings and could not even listen to the class. She blankly lay on the desk and sulked listlessly. The bell for the end of class rang, and the teacher left. Lu Qingmei walked in. Her face was cold, colder than usual. Everyone suddenly realized what had happened and stopped talking at the same time. Sure enough, Lu Qingmei looked at everyone and said solemnly, "I am very sad to tell everyone a piece of bad news. Last night, a classmate in our class was hit by a car and is now lying in the hospital. So I solemnly remind everyone to pay attention to your safety. Your life is your own, and you must not take it lightly." Wow! Suddenly, everyone began to talk and turned their eyes to the two empty seats. Yi Dingdong's heart thumped. She suddenly had a strong, ominous feeling. She looked at Lu Qingmei nervously and heard her continue. "Tang Zheng classmate was in a car accident last night. I will go to the hospital to visit him later. I hope everyone can recommend a representative to go with me." "I'll go. I'll go," two voices said at the same time. They were Yi Dingdang and Feng Yong. Both of them looked anxious. Lu Qingmei looked deeply at Yi Dingdang and nodded in agreement. "Okay, we'll go now." After the three of them left, the classroom was abuzz with discussion. There were too many things happening to Tang Zheng, one after another. The confession incident was not over yet, and now there was a car accident. It was as if he was constantly trying to attract everyone's attention. No one paid attention to Takashi. The corners of his mouth curled into a smile. He really wanted to laugh out loud and silently pray that Tang Zheng would die. That way, no one would fight with him for Yi Dingdang. Chapter 93. He saw Feng Shishir bend down and kiss Tang Zheng on the lips. This scene that was not suitable for children was coincidentally seen by Lu Qingmei and the others. The three of them had different expressions, but they all maintained their silence. Feng Shishir clearly heard the sound of the door opening as she immediately raised her head and saw the three people. Her charming face immediately turned red. "Teacher Lu, why did you guys come?" She immediately stood up and greeted them. Lu Qingmei coughed to cover up the awkwardness between them and said, "Tang Zheng had an accident, so we came to take a look. How is he?" Feng Shishir's expression darkened as Tang Zheng still hadn't woken up. When she woke up while lying on the edge of the bed and saw his sleeping appearance, she couldn't help but kiss him, which was coincidentally seen by these three people. "He still hasn't woken up," Feng Shishir sadly said. "Boss, wake up. We came to see you." Feng Yong sat on the edge of the bed and shouted, but Tang Zheng didn't move. Yi Dingdong's heart was in turmoil as she never expected that the powerful Tang Zheng would be hit by a car. An indescribable feeling welled up in her heart as she temporarily forgot about the ambiguous scene from before and immediately asked, "What exactly happened?" "He hit the car to save me. This is all my fault," Feng Shishir sadly said. TSK. Yi Dingdong's heart tightened as she was a bit jealous that he didn't care about his own life in order to save Feng Shishir. Boss is too brave. This is a true hero saving a beauty. Feng Yong was not stingy with his praise. Lu Qingmei's eyes flickered as this brat unexpectedly had this kind of courage and was worthy of praise. Her anger towards him from that night had slightly subsided. "What did the doctor say?" Lu Qingmei asked. "The doctor said that he has 2 broken ribs, but it's not a big deal. The main thing is that we don't know when he will wake up." Lu Qingmei patted Feng Shishir's shoulder and comforted her. "Don't worry. Heaven helps the worthy. He will wake up. It's all my fault. If it wasn't for me, he wouldn't have ended up like this." Feng Shishir was still immersed in immense self-blame. "What did you do wrong? Don't talk nonsense. This is his own business." Shi Mengqin suddenly walked in and loudly said. She also continuously gave her daughter a meaningful glance, but Feng Shishir acted as if she did not see it. "You are?" Lu Qingmei frowned and asked. "I'm Shishir's mother. Hello. I'm her homeroom teacher, Lu Qingmei." Lu Qingmei extended her hand. Shi Mengqin coldly snorted and did not pay attention to Lu Qingmei. She pulled Feng Shishir and said, "Shishir, you can't speak nonsense. His injuries have nothing to do with you." "No, this is my fault. She hugged me, and I was lucky enough to escape." Feng Shishir stubbornly shook her head and refused to change her words. Shi Mengqin's eyebrows furrowed even tighter. She cautiously looked at Lu Qingmei and the other two and said, "Since you guys are here, then take care of him. We're going home." Sure, let's go." She pulled Feng Sure and walked out the door. This night was simply torture for Xi Mingqi. She who lived like a princess had never suffered this kind of pain. She did not sleep a wink, and the smell of the disinfectant in the hospital was not good. It made her feel like she was about to collapse. Who would have thought that Feng Sure would fling her hand away and sit on the edge of the bed? She grabbed Tang Zhang's hand and said, "I already said that if he doesn't wake up, I won't leave. You can go back by yourself." After she finished speaking, she stared straight at Tang Zhang and did not pay attention to anyone else. Xi Mingqin fiercely stomped her feet but did not leave. She cautiously looked at the three people, afraid that her daughter would be dragged into this matter and take responsibility. Lu Qingmei looked at Xi Mingqin with disgust. Why was the difference between this mother and daughter so big? However, she did not care about other people's family matters. She only told Feng Sure to take good care of Tang Zheng and to call her if she needed anything. If Tang Zheng woke up, then quickly contact her. Feng Sure absent-mindedly agreed. As for Feng Yong and Yi Dingdang, they looked at Tang Zheng for a while before leaving. However, Yi Dingdang did not return to school and directly went home. "Dingdang, why are you back so quickly? What's the matter?" Feng Xinyang saw her daughter and was shocked. Yi Dingding acted as if she did not hear anything and directly walked in front of Yi Xuanji and said, "I want to find the King of Medicine Senior." Yi Xuanji curiously asked, "Why are you looking for him?" "To save someone. The King of Medicine is very busy. He needs to go to the hospital to save someone." Yi Xuanji lightly said, "Where is he?" Yi Dingding suddenly raised her voice and loudly asked. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang were shocked as they had never seen her like this before. They quickly held on to Yi Dingding, who was about to explode, and asked, "Dingdang, who do you want to save? What happened?" "Tang Zhang was hit by a car and is currently lying in the hospital unconscious." "What? Tang Zhang was hit by a car?" Yi Tianlei almost jumped up from the sofa as his face instantly became serious. Feng Xinyang also could not hide her shock and quickly asked what happened. Yi Dingding also did not clearly explain the situation and only said that he was hit while trying to save Feng Sure. Feng Xinyang's eyes lit up. Of course she remembered her daughter's rival in love. But right now she did not have time to care about this, so she quickly gave her husband a look. Yi Xuanji coldly laughed and jokingly said, "Looks like this brat isn't much. He can't even protect himself, so why would I need him to treat me? I want to find the King of Medicine Senior. Hurry up and tell me where he is." Yi Dingdang ignored his mockery and stubbornly asked, "The King of Medicine Senior is not an ordinary person. If he wants to save everyone, then wouldn't he be busy to death?" Yi Xuanji refused. Yi Dingdang glared at him and immediately flipped out. "Saving a life is better than building a 7-floor pagoda. Don't you know that? Hurry up and tell me the address. I'll go find him. You don't have to do anything." Being yelled at by his own granddaughter, Yi Xuanji felt a bit embarrassed. He stood up and flung his sleeves. He's just a stinking brat. Why should the King of Medicine save him? His life is worthless. There is no difference between high and low in life. Don't think that you're the only one who is better than others. In the face of death, everyone is equal. Yi Dingdang loudly rebuked. Yi Xuanji's face became gloomy. Death was like a sword hanging over his head. Indeed, in the face of death, he was no different from an ordinary person. Although that was the truth, if he said it out loud, it would undoubtedly stab him in the heart. Equal? What a joke. A brat who is nothing. Why should he be equal? In this world, if you want to be equal, then you can only speak with strength. Yi Xuanji lifted his leg and walked away. Yi Tianlei hurriedly advised, "Dad, calm down. Dingdang was just too anxious and didn't mean it. However, Tang Zhang has done a great favor for our family. We can't just leave him to die. If we ask the King of Medicine to help, Tang Zhang will definitely be saved. The King of Medicine is still looking for that godly doctor. I'm warning you, don't disturb him. Come in with me." Yi Tianlei had no choice but to follow Yi Xuanji's order. Only Yi Dingdong's panting voice could be heard in the living room. Too much, too much. She fiercely stomped her foot. She really had the urge to rush up and beat Yi Xuanji up. Feng Xinyang secretly sighed. This was class. In the eyes of these top nobles, the lives of ordinary people were as thin as paper. However, Feng Xinyang had never flaunted herself as a person of that class. She disdainfully curled her lips and held her daughter's shoulder and said, "What's the use of just sulking? Come with me. Don't think that he's the only one who knows the whereabouts of the king of medicine." Feng Xinyang, you know? Yi Dingdang was overjoyed. Feng Xinyang proudly raised her head and said, "How could I not know such a small thing? Come, let's go save the little handsome brother." Finished speaking, she pulled her daughter and drove away. A moment later, they knocked on the door of a house. "Feng Xinyang, are you sure that the king of medicine senior is here?" "Of course." Feng Xinyang was full of confidence. "Excuse me, who are you looking for?" A middle-aged woman opened the door and asked. "We're looking for the king of medicine senior," Yi Dingdang impatiently said loudly. A strange look flashed across the middle-aged woman's face as she said, "Wait a moment." After retreating inside, she did not forget to close the door. After a while, a beautiful young woman walked out. Even Feng Xinyang could not help but feel a trace of surprise flash across her face. This young woman was naturally Mu Hongyan. Her every movement was full of charm. "Who are the two of you? Why are you looking for the king of medicine senior?" Mu Hongyan saw that the other party was not an ordinary person and asked politely. Yi Dingdang was about to speak again but was stopped by Feng Xinyang. Feng Xinyang also saw that Mu Hongyan was not an ordinary person. Just her temperament alone was not something an ordinary person would have, so she politely explained the purpose of her visit. "Unfortunately, the king of medicine senior has gone out." "Then when will he be back?" "At night. If you don't mind, can we go in and wait?" Mu Hongyan hesitated for a moment before nodding her head in agreement. Yi Dingdang anxiously looked for a doctor for Tang Zheng, but there was someone who wanted nothing more than for Tang Zheng to die. When Big Head Fan confirmed that Tang Zheng was seriously injured and unconscious, he really wanted to look up to the sky and laugh. When night fell, he disguised himself and came to the hospital alone. His purpose was revenge, to take Tang Zheng's life. Because he hated Tang Zheng too much, this time he did not let his subordinates take action. Instead, he personally took action. He wanted to personally reap Tang Zheng's life. He directly went to Tang Zheng's room. This was an independent room with only one patient, Tang Zheng. However, Fang Shishir was guarding him by his side. Shi Mengqin could not bear it any longer and returned home alone. Fang Shishir stayed in the hospital. F***CK. Why is there another little girl? This little girl is really beautiful. Damn, this little brat's luck with women is not bad. The little girl that accompanied him last time was also of the highest quality. Big Head Fan licked his lips and said with envy. However, Big Head Fan was still afraid and did not directly rush in. Since it was an assassination, then they could not make a big commotion. They had to be quiet. He was waiting for Fang Shishir to leave. This waiting was a piece of news. Big Head Fan was about to impatiently rush in when Fang Shishir finally stood up. She intimately touched Tang Zheng's face and then walked towards the bathroom. Chapter 94. Boss Fan condescendingly looked down at Tang Zheng. The gleaming dagger in his hand seemed to emit the aura of a death god. He gave a low, sinister laugh. "Hi hey, little brat. You also have a day like this. To go against this daddy, you should have died a long time ago. After taking care of you, this daddy will go take care of Lin Hu and send him to the underworld to accompany you." Boss Fan raised his dagger and fiercely stabbed towards Tang Zheng's chest. Suddenly, the door opened. Fang Shishir walked in and cried out in shock. "Who are you? What are you doing?" Boss Fan was shocked and his dagger unconsciously stopped as he turned his head to look at Fang Shishir. Fang Shishir's gaze was immediately attracted to the dagger as a wave of cold air rose from the bottom of her heart. She was extremely afraid, but she did not run away. Instead, she pounced towards Boss Fan in an attempt to snatch the dagger. "You are not allowed to harm Tang Zheng." Boss Fan was shocked as this little girl was not afraid of him. He began to laugh. "Hi hey, since she delivered herself to his doorstep, he will take her away and have a good time." Fang Shishir did not have the strength to trust a chicken, and in front of Boss Fan, who was a third-grade refining body martial artist, she could not even withstand a single blow. Boss Fan easily grabbed her hand. Fang Shishir did not stop struggling as she instinctively wanted to scream out loud. Boss Fan's eyes and hands were quick as he covered her mouth, causing her to only let out a woo-woo sound. "Hi hey, little girl, you are quite fierce. In a bit, you will listen to me obediently," Boss Fan said with a pleased smile as he waved his arm and the dagger flew towards Tang Zheng's chest. Fang Shishir turned pale with fright as she did not know where she got the strength from, but she bit down on the hand that covered her mouth. F***CK. This daddy will kill you." Boss Fan felt the pain as he instinctively cried out in fear. The dagger that was originally aimed at Tang Zheng turned and pierced towards Fang Shishir's chest. Pong! A muffled sound rang out as Boss Fan flew out and fiercely smashed into the wall as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Fang Shishir escaped danger and immediately cried out loudly, "Murder! Save me!" She then stood in front of Tang Zheng's bed, as if she was protecting the most important thing in her life. Boss Fan cut a sorry figure as he crawled up and looked at Fang Shishir in shock before looking all around him. There was no one else in the room, but Fang Shishir was not a martial artist, so how could she have shaken him away? That wave of energy just now was incomparably strong and his heart was about to be shattered. It could be seen that this was not a normal attack, but there was no one else. Of course, he did not know that this was the effect of Fang Shishir's spirit-controlling Jade Buddha. Luckily, he was a martial artist and was able to block most of the attack. If it was a normal person, they would have followed in Xiao Fei's footsteps and directly fainted. Damn it! He loudly cursed and wanted to rush up, but there was already the sound of hurried footsteps outside. It was clear that Fang Shishir's cry for help had already alerted the others. Boss Fan unwillingly looked at Tang Zheng as this little brat's life was really tough to not die like this. He glared at Fang Shishir with killing intent before turning around and running. Fang Shishir's fiercely beating heart finally calmed down. The result of releasing too much adrenaline was that once she relaxed, her entire body seemed to have lost all strength as she fell onto the bed, lying on top of Tang Zheng's body. Looking at Tang Zheng, who was just inches away from her, her lips finally curled into a smile. "I won't let anyone hurt you." Pong! The door was once again pushed open, causing Fang Shishir to be frightened, as she thought that the scoundrel had returned. However, it was clear that she was overthinking, as this time, it was not the scoundrel but Yi Dingdong's group. What happened? Yi Dingdong rushed up and anxiously asked. Fang Shishir forcefully stood up and said in shock, "Just now there was a scoundrel who wanted to kill Tang Zheng." Scoundrel? Yi Dingdong's eyebrows immediately wrinkled. "Just now we met a person at the elevator entrance. Could it be a scoundrel?" Feng Xinyang reminded. Yi Dingdong's eyes lit up as she said, "It must be him. That person is Boss Fan, a big brother of Changheng City's underworld. Tang Zheng has a grudge with him. Hong, to dare assassinate this handsome little brother, you must be tired of living." Feng Xinyang coldly snorted as her killing intent leaked out. "Let's not talk anymore. Let's first see how Tang Zheng is. Senior Medicine King, hurry up and take a look." Yi Dingdong hurriedly pulled the Medicine King to the bedside. But the Medicine King was not alone, as he was carrying a child in his arms. Nan. Nanan's big round eyes stared in all four directions before her gaze finally landed on Tang Zheng's face. She immediately opened her little mouth as she subconsciously wanted to call out "Brother Godly Doctor." However, she suddenly remembered that this was a little secret between her and Tang Zheng and immediately closed her little mouth. The others did not notice the little fellow's reaction as they all focused their attention on the Medicine King. Feng Xinyang and her daughter waited for the Medicine King at Mu Hongyin's home before Yi Dingdong impatiently dragged him to the hospital in the middle of the night. The only difference was that they had an extra burden, Nan. These past few days, Nan had been with the Medicine King. Nan liked this white-bearded grandpa, and the Medicine King also wanted to find out just how Nan's illness was cured. So, even when the Medicine King went out to find Tang Zheng, he always brought Nan with him. "Brother, what's wrong?" Nan anxiously asked. The Medicine King put her down and amiably smiled. Nan, Don't worry, grandfather will cure him. He had long heard of Tang Zheng's injuries, so he directly stretched out his hand to feel Tang Zheng's pulse. 2 fingers pressed against Tang Zheng's pulse, and with a thought, a thread of qi entered Tang Zheng's body through his skin. Suddenly, the Pill King felt a wave of blazing energy forcefully repelling his inner energy, causing him to be shocked. This wave of energy was extremely vigorous. However, he was not frightened by it, and instead became curious. He once again felt Tang Zheng's pulse, wanting to find out what was wrong. Pong! A muffled sound rang out, and the Medicine King was actually forced back a step. His face became especially serious. Everyone else was shocked. Senior Medicine King, what's wrong? The Medicine King waved his hand, indicating that he was fine. He just stared unwaveringly at Tang Zheng, sometimes shaking his head, sometimes nodding his head, causing the others to be confused, but no one made a sound. Even though Fang Shishir did not know who this old man was, since he was a doctor invited by Yi Dingdang, then he was definitely not an ordinary person. She also looked at him with a face full of expectation. After a while, the Medicine King faintly sighed and muttered to himself, I have never encountered this kind of situation before. It really is strange, very strange. One must know that the Medicine King was a 9th grade natal martial artist. Even though he could not be considered very strong, after practicing medicine for so many years, he had never encountered a situation where even his qi was rejected. He had inherited the ancient Hua Tuo's medical skills and practiced the 5 animal frolics. This type of qi flowed continuously and did not clash with other people's qi. This made it very beneficial for him to practice medicine and investigate the patient's condition. But this time it was clearly different. His qi was unable to enter Tang Zheng's body as the tyrannical energy within Tang Zheng's body completely rejected him. When the others saw him shake his head and say that it was strange, their hearts tightened as they knew that the situation was not as simple as they thought. They hurriedly asked, Senior Medicine King, can he be saved? Saved? The Medicine King's eyes widened. His body's functions are very good, but his unconscious state is very strange. The key is how to wake him up. Senior, you must wake him up. I beg you. Fang Shishir grabbed the Medicine King's hand and begged. The Medicine King nodded his head and said, Miss, don't worry, I will do my best. It was unknown when Nan Nan had grabbed Tang Zheng's hand. Her small hand tightly grasped his large hand, and her face was also anxious. She lifted her head to look at the Medicine King and said in a childish voice, Grandpa Medicine King, you must save my brother. He is a good person. The Medicine King smiled and said, How does Nan Nan know that he is a good person? Of course Nan Nan knows. Anyways, Grandpa Medicine King must cure my brother. Otherwise, Nan Nan will ignore you. Nan Nan seriously said, Nan Nan really has a heart. Yi Dingdang patted her head. In a short period of time, Yi Dingdang was also conquered by Nan Nan's cute appearance. Thank you, little miss. Fang Shishir gratefully said. Nan Nan sweetly smiled. Her gaze once again landed on Tang Zheng's body. Her face was full of worry. You guys go back first. I will stay here tonight to look after him and think of a way to cure him. The Medicine King said, No, I want to accompany him. I want to wait until he wakes up so he can see me first. Fang Shishir persistently said. The Medicine King looked at her and said, Little miss, your breathing is erratic. You must have stayed up all night. Hurry and go back to sleep, otherwise you will also collapse. If you collapse, then who will take care of him? Moreover, he won't wake up anytime soon, so there is no point in you staying here. But Fang Shishir still wanted to persist, but Yi Dingdang stopped her and advised, You go back, I will take care of him. Fang Shishir, hearing this, wanted to persist even more. How could she let Tang Zheng and Yi Dingdang stay together? But before she could refute, she saw the Medicine King wave his hand, telling everyone to go back. The others had no choice as they did not dare disobey the Medicine King's words. There are people who want to harm him, so be careful. Fang Shishir reluctantly agreed, not forgetting to remind them. The Medicine King gave a confident smile. Daring to come here to commit murder is the same as walking right into a trap. A 9th grade natal martial artist could be considered quite skilled, and there were not many people in Changhang City that could pose a threat to him. Feng Xinyang was clearly more experienced than the others and knew that the Medicine King did not want outsiders to disturb him during his treatment. So she directly pulled the others out of the hospital, and Nan Nan was also sent home by her. The room quietened down as the Medicine King stared at Tang Zheng as if he wanted to see through him. After a moment, he took a deep breath and said, "His yang qi is so heavy that it is rarely seen in this world. Even though I do not know what martial arts he cultivates, but since your yang qi is so heavy that it repels other external forces, then I will have to use yin qi to achieve a balance between yin and yang. It seems that I can only use the extreme yin god needle today." Just as he finished speaking, 9 silver needles appeared in his hands, each 3 siyuan and 3 fun long. Under the light of the lamp, they shone with a cold light. His hands were like lightning as one of the needles pierced into Tang Zheng's chest. His needles were extremely fast, unlike a normal Chinese doctor who would slowly insert needles. In the time it took for a breath, the needles had pierced into Tang Zheng's skin. Just from this alone, it could be seen that his medical skills were out of the ordinary. He inserted needles one after another, and after 10 seconds, Tang Zheng's acupuncture points were filled with 9 needles. He finally let out a breath and revealed a satisfied smile. Suddenly, his smile froze. Chapter 95. Big Head Fan looked down at Tang Zheng. The gleaming dagger seemed to emit the aura of death under the light. He sinisterly laughed in a low voice. "Hi hey, little brat, to think that you would have such a day. You should have died a long time ago to go against me. After I take care of you, I will take care of Lin Hu and send him to hell to accompany you." Big Head Fan raised the dagger and ruthlessly stabbed it towards Tang Zheng's chest. Suddenly, the door opened. Feng Shishir walked in and cried out in alarm. "Who are you? What are you doing?" Big Head Fan was frightened. The dagger unconsciously stopped, and he turned his head to look at Feng Shishir. Feng Shishir's gaze was immediately attracted by the dagger. A cold air rose from the bottom of her heart. She was extremely scared, but she did not run away. Instead, she pounced towards Big Head Fan, attempting to seize the dagger. "You are not allowed to harm Tang Zheng." Big Head Fan was shocked. This little girl was unexpectedly not afraid of him. He laughed mischievously. Since she delivered herself to his doorstep, he would take her away and have some fun. Feng Shishir did not have the strength to truss a chicken in front of Big Head Fan, a third-grade body refining martial artist. She was unable to withstand a single blow, so Big Head Fan easily grabbed her hand. Feng Shishir did not stop struggling, instinctively wanting to scream, but Big Head Fan's eyes were quick. He covered her mouth, making her only able to make muffled sounds. "Hi hey, little girl. You are quite fierce. In a while you will obediently listen to me." Big Head Fan proudly laughed, waving his arm. The dagger went straight for Tang Zheng's chest. Feng Shishir turned pale with fright. She did not know where she got the strength, but she bit the hand that was covering her mouth. Fuck, I will kill you." Big Head Fan felt pain, instinctively turning pale with fright as he screamed. The dagger that was originally going to stab Tang Zheng turned and stabbed towards Feng Shishir's chest. Pung! With a muffled sound, Big Head Fan flew out, fiercely slamming into the wall, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Feng Shishir escaped danger and immediately shouted, "Murder! Save me!" Then she tightly guarded Tang Zheng's bed, as if she was protecting the most important thing in her life. Fanda too crawled up in a battered and exhausted state. He looked at Feng Shishir in shock, then looked around. There was no fourth person in the room, but Feng Shishir was not a martial artist, so how could she have shaken him off? Just now, that burst of power was incomparably strong, and his heart was about to shatter. It was clear that this was not an ordinary counterattack, but there was no one else. Of course, he did not know that this was the effect of Feng Shishir's Jade Buddha Spirit Array. Fortunately, he was a martial artist and was able to offset most of the attack. If it was a normal person, they would have followed in Xiao Fei's footsteps and been knocked unconscious. Hell! He cursed and wanted to rush forward again, but there were already sounds of hurried footsteps outside. It was clear that Feng Shishir's cry for help had alarmed the others. Boss Fan unwillingly looked at Tang Zheng as this brat's life was really strong. Even like this, he did not die. He stared at Fang Shishir with a murderous look before turning around and running away. Fang Shishir's violently beating heart finally calmed down a little. The consequence of releasing too much adrenaline was that once she relaxed, her whole body seemed to have lost all strength as she collapsed onto the bed, lying on top of Tang Zheng's body. Seeing Tang Zheng so close to her, her mouth finally curved into a smile. "I won't let anyone hurt you." Pong! The door was pushed open again. Fang Shishir was shocked, thinking that the robbers had returned, but she was clearly overthinking. This time it was not the robbers, but Yi Dingdong's group. "What's wrong?" Yi Dingdang rushed up and anxiously asked. Fang Shishir stood up with difficulty and said in a frightened voice, "Just now there was a robber who wanted to kill Tang Zheng." "Robber?" Yi Dingdong's eyebrows immediately wrinkled. "Just now we met a person in the elevator. Could it be a robber?" Feng Xinyang reminded. Yi Dingdong's eyes lit up and said, "It must be him. That person is Big Head Fan. He is Ordinary Balance's big brother. Tang Zheng has a grudge with him. Hong, daring to assassinate a little handsome brother. He must be tired of living." Feng Xinyang coldly snorted, releasing a murderous aura. "Stop talking. Let's see how Tang Zheng is." "Senior King of Medicine, quickly take a look." Yi Dingdang hurriedly pulled the King of Medicine to the bedside. But the King of Medicine was not alone. In his arms was a child, Nana. Nana opened her big round eyes and looked around. In the end, her eyes fell on Tang Zheng's face. She immediately opened her small mouth and subconsciously wanted to call out Brother Godly Doctor. But she suddenly remembered that this was a little secret between her and Tang Zheng. So she immediately closed her small mouth. The others did not notice the little girl's reaction. They were all focused on the King of Medicine. Feng Xinyang and her daughter waited for the King of Medicine at Mu Hongyan's house. Then Yi Dingdang could not wait to take him to the hospital at night. But there was an extra burden, Nana. These days, Nana had been with the King of Medicine. Nana liked this white-bearded grandpa, and the King of Medicine also wanted to find out how Nana's illness was cured. Therefore, even when the King of Medicine went out to look for Tang Zheng, he always took Nana with him. "What's wrong with brother?" Nana asked anxiously. The King of Medicine put her down and smiled amiably. "Nana, don't worry. Grandpa will cure him." He had already heard about Tang Zheng's injury, so he directly reached out to feel his pulse. 2 fingers covered Tang Zheng's pulse. With a thought, a trace of internal strength went through Tang Zheng's skin and into his body. Huh! Suddenly, the King of Medicine felt a hot force bouncing off his internal strength. He was surprised because this force was very powerful. However, he was not frightened. Instead, his curiosity was aroused. He felt his pulse again and was determined to find out what was going on. Bang! With a muffled sound, the King of Medicine was shocked and took a step back. His face became particularly serious. The others were shocked. "Senior King of Medicine, what's wrong?" The King of Medicine waved his hand, indicating that he was fine. He just stared at Tang Zheng, shaking his head and nodding his head. The others were confused, but no one said anything. Although Feng Shishir did not know who this old man was, since he was a doctor invited by Yi Dingdang, he was definitely not an ordinary person. She also looked at him expectantly. After a long while, the King of Medicine sighed faintly and muttered to himself, "I have never encountered such a situation. It's really strange, really strange." The King of Medicine was a 9th grade acquired realm cultivator. Although he was not very powerful, after practicing medicine for so many years, he had never encountered a situation where even his internal strength was rejected. He inherited the medical skills of ancient Hua Tuo and practiced the 5 animal frolics. This kind of internal strength was continuous and did not conflict with other people's internal strength. This was beneficial for practicing medicine and investigating the patient's condition. But it was obviously different this time. His internal strength could not enter Tang Zheng's body at all. The tyrannical force in his body completely rejected him. When the others saw him shaking his head and saying that it was strange, their hearts tightened. They knew that things were far from as simple as they thought. They quickly asked, "Senior King of Medicine, can he still be saved?" "Save?" The King of Medicine widened his eyes. "His body functions are very good. but his unconscious state is very strange. The key is how to wake him up. Senior, you must wake him up. I beg you. Feng Shishir grabbed the King of Medicine's hand and begged. The King of Medicine nodded and said, Young lady, don't worry. I will do my best. Nana did not know when, but she grabbed Tang Zheng's hand. Her small hand tightly held his big hand. Her face was also anxious. She looked up at the King of Medicine and said in a childish voice, Grandpa King of Medicine, you must save brother. He is a good person. The King of Medicine smiled and said, How does Nana know that he is a good person? Of course Nana knows. Anyway, Grandpa King of Medicine must cure brother. Otherwise, Nana will ignore you. Nana said seriously. Nana is so caring. Yi Dingdang patted her head. In a short time, Yi Dingdang was also conquered by Nana's cute appearance. Thank you, young lady, Feng Shishir said gratefully. Nana smiled sweetly. Her gaze fell on Tang Zheng again, her face full of worry. You all go back first. I will stay here tonight to look after him and think of a way to treat him. The King of Medicine said, No, I want to stay with him. I want to wait until he wakes up so that I can be the first person he sees. Feng Shishir insisted. The King of Medicine looked at her and said, Young lady, your breathing is disordered. You must have stayed up all night. Quickly go back and sleep. Otherwise, you will collapse. If you collapse, who will take care of him? Moreover, he will not wake up for a while. It is useless for you to stay here. But Feng Shishir still wanted to insist, but Yi Dingdang stopped her and advised, You go back. I will take care of him. Feng Shishir heard this and wanted to insist even more. How could she let Tang Zheng and Yi Dingdang stay together? However, before she could refute, the King of Medicine waved his hand and told everyone to go back. They had no choice but to listen to the King of Medicine. Someone wants to harm him. We must be careful. Feng Shishir reluctantly agreed, but did not forget to remind them. The King of Medicine smiled confidently. If he dares to come here and commit murder, he will be walking right into a trap. The cultivation of the 9th level of the natal realm was already considered good. In the ordinary balance, there were not many people who could threaten him. Feng Xinyang was obviously more experienced than the others. She knew that the King of Medicine must not want to be disturbed, so she directly took them out of the hospital. She also sent Nana home. The ward was quiet. The King of Medicine stared at Tang Zheng, as if he wanted to see through him. After a while, he took a deep breath and said, His yang qi is so strong that it is rare in the world. Although I don't know what kind of martial arts he practiced, since your yang qi is so strong and repels other external forces, then I will use the softening force to achieve the goal of balancing yin and yang. It seems that I can only use the tying magic needle today. As soon as he finished speaking, 9 silver needles appeared in his hand. They were 3 inches and 3 fen long, shining coldly under the light. He moved like lightning, and a silver needle had already pierced Tang Zheng's chest. He moved the needle very quickly, unlike the ordinary Chinese doctors who slowly inserted the needle. In a breath, the silver needle pierced Tang Zheng's skin. Just from this, one could see how extraordinary his medical skills were. He moved the needles one after another. In dozens of seconds, 9 silver needles were inserted in Tang Zheng's major acupoints. He finally breathed a sigh of relief and showed a satisfied smile. Suddenly, his smile froze. Chapter 96. The King of Medicine had practiced medicine for dozens of years, but he had never seen such a frightening situation. The 9 silver needles were actually retreating, as if there was a force pushing the needles out bit by bit. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly, a silver light flashed, and the 9 silver needles shot up into the sky, like arrows piercing into the ceiling, buzzing and trembling. The King of Medicine stared blankly at the ceiling, as if he was in a dream. The divine lunar needle was a unique skill of his sect, and he would not use it easily. But today, he was really stumped by Tang Zheng's difficult disease, so he used this skill. He never thought that this would be the result. After a long time, he smacked his lips and shifted his gaze to Tang Zheng's body. His eyes gradually lit up, like a hunter who saw his prey, or a gourmet who saw a delicacy. In short, he had an unprecedented interest in Tang Zheng. A doctor, especially a famous doctor like him, liked to treat difficult and complicated diseases the most. If he could cure the disease easily, he would not have much interest in treating it. Only this kind of difficult challenge could make his blood boil. At this moment, his blood was boiling, but some people felt as if they had fallen into an ice cave. After leaving the hospital, the more Boss Fan thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. He could not kill Tang Zheng, but when Tang Zheng woke up, he would not let him go. Although he did not have much contact with Tang Zheng, from his fighting style, he could tell that he was not a merciful person. If he did not take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to kill Tang Zheng, then he would definitely die. He clenched his teeth and went straight to Huang Xiang's residence. In fact, he did not want to see Huang Xiang, because he felt that the other's aura was becoming more and more strange, and that kind of cold feeling was like hell. But for his own life, he had to go to hell. He walked into Huang Xiang's villa, and a night wind blew, and a cold feeling hit him in the face, making him shiver. Damn, isn't the weather warmer? Why is it still so cold? He muttered, and looked up. The villa was pitch black. Looks like no one's home. I'll come back another day. Suddenly, a strange voice came from the dark room. Boss Fan, since you've come in. Big Head Fan quivered in fright. This voice was erratic, and the key point was that it sounded as if it had been squeezed out of a grave. There was a sinister feeling to it. However, he still managed to recognize that it was Huang Xiang's voice, even though it had changed a little. Young Master Huang, is that you? He asked nervously. It's me. Come in. As soon as he finished speaking, the tightly shut door opened by itself. The pitch-black door was like the bloody mouth of a ferocious beast. His heart trembled. He hesitated for a moment before walking in, saying, Young Master Huang, why didn't you turn on the lights? Is there no electricity in the house? Hee, why are you looking for me? A gust of wind blew past, and a gust of cold air blew into Big Head Fan's ears. His whole body shivered, and he hurriedly turned his head to look. A gloomy face was right next to him, and he could see it clearly with the help of the moonlight. He screamed in fright and hastily retreated. What's your name? Are you afraid of me? Huang Xiang was like a shadow, and like a ghost, he appeared in front of him. Big Head Fan's heart trembled with fear. He was a gangster, so of course his courage was not small. However, facing the current Huang Xiang, he could not help but feel a chill in his heart. No, I'm not afraid. Big Head Fan mustered up his courage, not knowing if coming here today was the right decision. You're not afraid of me. I can see that you're actually very afraid of me. It's good that you're afraid of me. I like it when people are afraid of me. Huang Xiang let out a sharp and strange laugh. Big Head Fan wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and said, Young Master Huang, I'm here to tell you a big piece of good news. Tang Zheng was seriously injured in a car accident and is currently lying unconscious in the hospital. Now is the best time to kill him. Tang Zheng. Huang Xiang's voice suddenly changed. It was abnormally cold, and the temperature in the room suddenly dropped. It made Big Head Fan feel as if he was in a world of ice and snow. Yes, it's Tang Zheng. Now that young Master Huang has made his move, he's dead for sure. Big Head Fan mustered up his courage and said while trembling with fear, the heavens are helping me. Now that I've achieved great success, I'll use his blood to celebrate. Huang Xiang madly laughed. Big Head Fan's heart beat rapidly, and he hurriedly flattered. Congratulations, young Master Huang. Congratulations, young Master Huang. From now on, no one in the ordinary balance will dare to oppose you. Tang Zheng is only the first step. I want to rule the ordinary balance, and the Ye family is my true enemy. However, I'll deal with this brat Tang Zheng first. Whoosh! A cold wind blew past, and Big Head Fan only saw a shadow flash. Huang Xiang had already disappeared from the door. Big Head Fan let out a sigh of relief and said to himself, What kind of evil martial arts did young Master Huang practice? It's so strange. He hurriedly shook his head and stopped thinking about these messy things. Since young Master Huang had made his move, then Tang Zheng would definitely be finished. Big Head Fan's problem was solved, and now he had to think about how to deal with Lin Hu. When Nana returned home, She looked as if she had a lot on her mind and did not say a word. Mu Hongyin was confused. Why was this little girl so unhappy after going out? She hurriedly asked for the reason, but Nana did not answer. Instead, she thought for a while and said, "Mom, let's go to the hospital tomorrow, okay?" When Mu Hongyin heard this, she was shocked and asked, "Nana, are you not feeling well? Let's go to the hospital immediately." Nana shook her head. "It's not me. I want to see Big Brother tomorrow. Take me there." "Big Brother? Is it the patient that Senior King of Medicine went to treat today?" Mu Hongyin asked curiously. Nana nodded seriously. Mu Hongyin breathed a sigh of relief and laughed involuntarily. "Why?" "Because Nana likes Big Brother." "Like?" Mu Hongyin snorted and laughed. Nana pouted and protested. "Don't laugh. I'm telling the truth." "Okay, I won't laugh. But isn't the patient unconscious? You didn't even talk to him. How can you like him?" "Because—" Nana wanted to say that it was because he was Big Brother Godly Doctor, but when she thought of the agreement between the two, she did not say it. She said coquettishly, "Anyway, I like him. Come with me tomorrow, Mom." "Okay, I'll go with you. We've been away from home for a while now. I'll take you to Ordinary Balance to play for a few days. Then we'll go home." "I don't want to go home. Hee hee. We've been away for so long. Grandpa will miss you." "Then okay." Nana lowered her head. "But we must wait until Big Brother recovers before we leave." Mu Hongyin touched her daughter's head and smiled. "Okay, we'll do as you say. We'll go see your brother tomorrow." But she was really curious about this strange brother. Nana was weak and sickly since she was a child. She was shy with strangers. Except for the mysterious Big Brother Godly Doctor, she did not show much attachment and affection to others. King of Medicine did not dare to rashly use the tying magic needle again after he failed. But he did not stop. He pinched and touched Tang Zheng here and there. In short, he almost touched Tang Zheng's body. If he knew, he might shudder. But a doctor had the heart of a parent. King of Medicine obviously did not have any bad intentions. Whoosh! A cold wind blew. King of Medicine suddenly stopped. He raised his head and stared at the door. There was another person there. He was covered in a large black coat, and his face could not be seen clearly. The Medicine King furrowed his brows and went straight to the point. "You came for him?" The man in black was of course Huang Ziyang. He was here to kill Tang Zheng. Looking at the old man, he was not afraid. Instead, he grinned hideously. "Yes, so you'd better back off." "You want me to back off?" "That depends on whether you have the ability to do so. You're pretending to be a ghost. You're evil and don't show your true face." King of Medicine said in disgust. "You want to see my true face? That depends on whether you have the ability to do so. Before we start, can I ask why you want to kill him? Do you have a grudge against him?" King of Medicine was so curious about Tang Zheng that he could not help asking. Leaving him in the world is a hidden danger. Of course, I have to get rid of the hidden danger. I have a lot of hatred against him. Huang Ziyang had always thought that Tang Zheng, and he practiced the same set of skills. Since this set of skills was so powerful, he certainly could not leave Tang Zheng alive. King of Medicine wanted to ask more, but Huang Ziyang waved his hand impatiently and said, "Old man, you have too many questions. Ask this boy when you're on the road to the netherworld." Huang Ziyang moved quickly. He was as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of King of Medicine. King of Medicine was not slow either. With a tap of his heel, he rushed out with a whoosh. He was like a ferocious tiger descending the mountain. His aura was like a rainbow. 5 animal frolics was the practice method of imitating 5 animals. These 5 animals were the bear, crane, tiger, deer, and ape. King of Medicine used the tiger steps. The so-called dragon steps and tiger steps showed how powerful his momentum was. He stretched out his hands like the 2 sharp claws of a fierce tiger and directly grabbed Huang Ziyang's chest. Huang Ziyang laughed strangely and waved his hand. His 5 fingers turned into claws. Puff. 2 tearing sounds were heard. King of Medicine's shoulder was torn and bright red blood flowed out. Huang Ziyang's chest was also broken. 5 bloody marks were dripping with blood, but his blood was black and red, which was very strange. "You really are evil." King of Medicine stared at the black and red blood, and his face became serious. What kind of skills are you practicing? Quack, of course it's a good skill to kill people. What are you afraid? Evil. Everyone has the right to kill you. Today I will kill you here. King of Medicine spread his arms like a white crane spreading its wings. With a flap of his arms, a strong wind rose and the door of the ward was closed with a bang. Huang Ziang moved his feet and rushed up like a ghost. His cold breath filled the whole ward in an instant. Two figures moved and flashed. In an instant, the room was full of shadows. Both of them were so fast that it was almost impossible to see them clearly. However, King of Medicine did not dare to be too far away from Tang Zheng. He was afraid that Tang Zheng would lure him away and kill Tang Zheng. Chapter 97. The battle between the two could not be said to be not intense. It was even somewhat tragic. Both of them had many wounds on their bodies that were bleeding. The King of Medicine was a 9th-grade natal stage cultivator. He was indeed an expert with decades of accumulation of power. However, using the divine needle just now consumed too much of his power. Even though it was only a matter of a few seconds, at least half of his power was consumed. Normally, if he used the divine needle, he would have to rest for a few days before treating people. But this time, he was really attracted by Tang Zheng's difficult and complicated diseases, so he continued to perform without a care for his own safety. Don't look at how he was pushing and pinching, as if he was taking advantage of Tang Zheng's tofu. In fact, it was a massage technique that consumed energy. After the power in the meridians of the human body was consumed, it would take a period of time to recover. Even if one's cultivation was high, if too much power was consumed, he would not be able to take advantage of those with lower cultivation. The King of Medicine and Huang Ziang were in this situation. Huang Ziang's cultivation was indeed much lower than the King of Medicine. He was only a 1st-grade natal stage cultivator. However, in such a short period of time, he directly went from a 6th-grade refining body to a 1st-grade natal stage cultivator. It could be seen how fast the strange technique Tian Chanzi gave him was. It was simply a speed of 1,000 miles in a day. Huang Ziang's confidence was unprecedentedly high. Even though he could see that the King of Medicine's cultivation was not low, he was not afraid. Instead, he became braver as he fought. Not greater than if it was a 9th-grade natal stage cultivator against a 1st-grade natal stage cultivator. Huang Ziang would definitely die. However, the situation this time was really different. However, it was impossible for him to kill the King of Medicine. After all, the difference in cultivation was there. However, he could guarantee that he would not be killed by the King of Medicine. Seeing that he could not kill the King of Medicine, Huang Ziang had other thoughts in his mind. His main goal was to kill Tang Zheng. Therefore, he feinted and dodged the King of Medicine's spirit deer turning around. He directly pounced towards Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng could not move at all. If he was hit, he would definitely die. The King of Medicine knew this too well. Seeing this, he roared, "Stop!" He propped himself up on the wall with one hand and used the move Soaring Ape. He really swung up like an ape and pounced towards Huang Ziang's back. But it was already too late. Huang Ziang's claw had already reached Tang Zheng's chest, as if he was going to claw his heart out. A victorious smile appeared on his face. "Tang Zheng, you're dead meat." He clawed at Tang Zheng's chest. The King of Medicine looked desperate. It was over, but he didn't stop. Even if Tang Zheng was dead, he couldn't let the murderer go. His hissa smell like burning meat filled the air. A ray of red light, like a flame, slowly rose from Tang Zheng's body. Huang Ziang seemed to have met his nemesis or grabbed a red-hot soldering iron. His palms were smoking. He screamed and stepped back. Bang! With a muffled sound, he bumped into the King of Medicine's hand. He staggered and fell to the ground. He rolled and jumped up again, looking at Tang Zheng in horror. The red light had disappeared as if it had never appeared. But both of them knew that it was definitely not their illusion. They looked at each other as if to confirm what had just happened. The King of Medicine's heartstrings trembled. He had never heard of such a strange thing. Moreover, the flame-like red light seemed to be specially used to restrain Huang Ziang. Especially the smell of burning was still in the air. Huang Ziang picked up his hand and looked at it. It was charred black, and his skin was curled up. He was puzzled. His eyes gradually emitted a fierce light. He said, "Why can't I kill you? Why?" He roared at the top of his lungs, full of anger and unwillingness. The king of medicine breathed a sigh of relief. Although he did not understand what had happened, at least Tang Zheng's life was saved. He stood in front of the bed and did not let the other party get close to him. Dong, dong, dong. Hurried footsteps sounded outside the door. The police had arrived. The hospital had found out about the fight and had already called the police. The people inside, listen up. You have been surrounded. Put down your weapons and surrender. The police shouted. Huang Ziang was unmoved. He was not afraid of the police at all. He only gritted his teeth and looked at Tang Zheng. He said hatefully, "I will be back." Whoosh. After that, he jumped out of the window like a gust of wind. The king of medicine did not look. This height could not stop the other party. "Come in. The criminal has already escaped," the king of medicine said loudly. The police rushed in vigilantly. The black muzzle of the gun was pointed at the king of medicine. The king of medicine said lightly, "I am the patient's family. The criminal has escaped." He pointed to the window. Several police rushed to the window. There was not even a shadow. But this was a 9-story building. If they jumped down, they would definitely be smashed to pieces. The police could not believe that the criminal had escaped from here. What the hell is going on? Deng Maokai swaggered in and asked sternly. This hospital was under his jurisdiction. When he received the call, he immediately rushed over. Nothing. Someone came in to cause trouble and was driven away. "You can leave now," the king of medicine said. He did not want to deal with these people. He still had to concentrate on studying Tang Zheng's condition. Since the police had come, how could they leave so easily? Moreover, the doctor and nurse had seen a very fierce fight inside. Deng Maokai walked directly to the bedside and glanced at the bed casually. He was so scared that his pupils shrank, and he almost stepped back. Why is it him again? He was really afraid of Tang Zheng. He had something on him, and he had crossed paths with him several times. It seemed that he could not avoid him even if he wanted to. He asked with fear, "What's wrong with him?" "He's sick." "Oh, is it serious?" Deng Maokai asked nervously. "He'll be fine in a few days." Deng Maokai shrank his neck. Since he would be fine in a few days, it was better not to provoke this devil, lest he be implicated again. Moreover, the other party obviously did not want the police to intervene. He pushed the boat with the current and was happy to leave this place as soon as possible. The ward was quiet again. The king of medicine quietly looked at Tang Zheng, pondering a new treatment plan. Although Tang Zheng himself could not move, his mind was very active. Since he was knocked unconscious, he had entered a wonderful world. It was as if he was standing at the mouth of a volcano. Endless flames burned in front of him, and the hot air waves almost ignited him. "Tian Chanzi, come out. What's wrong with me? Why am I here?" Tang Zheng shouted. "Boy, don't shout. It's strange. You're imprisoned in the sea of consciousness. What's going on? Why is there a sea of fire in your sea of consciousness? Why didn't I notice it before?" Tian Chanzi's voice sounded. He seemed to be very surprised by Tang Zheng's current situation. Sea of consciousness, sea of fire? Boy, in addition to the Dantian, the most important thing is the sea of consciousness. The sea of consciousness is in the brain, controlling people's thinking. The spiritual power I told you before is gathered in the sea of consciousness. Then why am I in the sea of consciousness? What's the matter with this sea of fire? How would I know? Tian Chanzi said angrily, "Boy, you're different from ordinary people. You're very strange. Hey, look at the sea of fire." Tang Zheng raised his eyes and looked over, only to see flames jumping up and down in the sea of fire. In the end, they turned into words. Burning body, kindling of fire. The 8 fiery words were particularly dazzling, firmly attracting Tang Zheng's attention. Kindling of fire? Tang Zheng was shocked. This was his pain. During this time, he had not found a way to ignite the kindling of fire, which made him a little depressed. Is it related to the kindling of fire? Tian Chanzi muttered to himself, as if he was thinking. After a moment, he said, "Kindling of fire. How can the sea of consciousness be related to the kindling of fire? According to Tian Chanzi's knowledge, the sea of consciousness was only related to spiritual power and had nothing to do with the kindling of fire. But these 8 words clearly pointed out that the sea of consciousness was related to the kindling of fire. Strange boy, you really can't be judged by common sense. You haven't been able to ignite the kindling of fire, so why don't you follow these instructions? How? Burning body, of course you have to jump into this sea of fire. Jump in? Tangjing opened his eyes wide. Although he was only a strand of divine sense facing this sea of fire, he still had an indescribable instinctive fear. What are you afraid of? You can only try. Moreover, your divine sense is imprisoned here. If you don't follow the instructions, what else can you do? Tian Chanzi said helplessly. Tang Zheng had previously tried to leave the sea of consciousness, but found that his divine sense was simply unable to jump out. This sea of consciousness seemed to have a kind of attractive force firmly attracting him, making him not even aware of what was happening outside. He only remembered that in order to save Feng Shishir, he was hit by a car and came to this place. Okay, I'll go all out. Tang Zheng walked towards the sea of fire step by step. The moment his foot stepped in, the flames rushed to his body with a whoosh. It was as if there was an accelerant on his body. In the blink of an eye, he was completely enveloped by the flames. He became a living person. An indescribable pain stimulated him, making him unable to help but scream. Boy, hold on. I think this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you. If you can get through it, maybe the problem of igniting the kindling of fire will be easily solved. Tian Chanzi encouraged him thoughtfully. Fuck, this feeling is too unbearable. Burning body, do you really want to burn me to ashes? Tang Zheng cried out in pain. What are you shouting for? Quietly feel the changes and try to ignite the kindling of fire. Tian Chanzi said resolutely. This sea of fire made him think of a legend from tens of thousands of years ago. Legend has it that at that time, there was a race. Each and every one of them had exquisite spells and magical powers. Moreover, this race's cultivation was completely different from that of ordinary people. Because of this, they were condemned by the public as heretics. This kind of heresy was of course ostracized and finally eliminated. This race completely ceased to exist. But the words left behind said that this race's kindling of fire was not in the Dantian, but in the sea of consciousness. Moreover, its power was enormous. Even if it was a person of the same cultivation level, it would far surpass other races. Tian Chanzi looked at the sea of fire in the sea of consciousness and thought hard. Finally, he remembered this legend. But he was not happy. Instead, a strong fear occupied his mind. Chapter 98. This kind of fear followed him like a shadow, making Tian Chanzi feel uneasy. Could it be that he is related to that race? That would be a huge disaster. Although it had been tens of thousands of years and many people didn't know about it, the powerful cultivators who had lived for countless years definitely wouldn't forget. They still had an instinctive rejection of this race. If they knew that a member of that race had appeared, they wouldn't sit idly by and would directly kill Tang Zheng. Although Tian Chanzi couldn't figure out how Tang Zheng could be a member of that race. No, I can't let others know about this. Looking at Tang Zheng in the fire, Tian Chanzi made up his mind. He didn't have a strong feeling about the battle from tens of thousands of years ago, not to mention that he and Tang Zheng had a close relationship, so he had to protect him. Tang Zheng had already operated the ancient clear heaven scroll, guiding his true qi to attack his Dantian in an attempt to ignite the kindling. But when the true qi moved, it didn't flow to his Dantian, but instead gathered in his knowledge sea. Like gasoline meeting fire, the true qi burned. His body was ignited from the inside out, and the more intense pain made him almost collapse. But he had suffered a lot since he was young, so he gritted his teeth and held on. Tian Chanzi, why didn't the true qi go to the Dantian, but to the knowledge sea instead? How can I ignite the kindling? Tang Zheng asked loudly. Tian Chanzi's voice was trembling. Tang Zheng's words undoubtedly confirmed his guess. He stabilized his mind and said, then lead the true qi into the knowledge sea. Don't worry about the dantian. Try to ignite the kindling in the knowledge sea. Tang Zheng was shocked. Igniting the kindling in the knowledge sea? Is this possible? Why didn't you tell me before? How would I know that things would turn out like this? Hurry up, don't dawdle. Tian Chanzi unhappily urged. He didn't want to say more, because his mind was already in chaos. Tang Zheng gradually stabilized his mind and guided his true qi bit by bit to gather in his sea of consciousness. In an instant, the flames became even fiercer and engulfed him. After an unknown amount of time, the flame became smaller and smaller. It turned from red to light purple and finally became the size of a fingernail. It burned in the air and emitted a strange power. There were already a lot of people gathered in Tang Zheng's ward. Feng Xinyang rushed over as soon as she woke up. Originally, Yi Tianlei wanted to come as well, but was dragged away by Yi Xuanji to look for the godly doctor's whereabouts. However, she noticed that someone was earlier than her. Feng Shishir was already sitting by the bed. Feng Shishir seemed to have steeled her heart to accompany Tang Zheng. If he did not wake up, then she would not go to class. This caused Xi Mingqin to almost explode, so she also followed along. It turned out that he had been looking in the wrong direction. His fire seed was not in his dantian. So even if he had spent a lot of effort, it was useless. But this time, after being hit by a car, he muddle-headedly entered this knowledge sea. He had unexpectedly ignited his fire seed by accident. So fortune and misfortune came hand in hand. If he did not want to save Feng Shishir, he would not have entered this knowledge sea. Then he did not know when he would be able to discover the mystery of his fire seed. Tang Zheng was somewhat glad. He was truly happy from the bottom of his heart. After igniting his fire seed, he could use the 9 revolving pill furnace to refine pills. But what made him feel strange was that Tian Chanzi did not seem to be too enthusiastic about igniting his fire seed. Instead, he was somewhat absent-minded. But he did not care. Since the shackles on his knowledge sea had disappeared, he naturally woke up. What entered his eyes was the large room full of people. He subconsciously asked, but this caused everyone to raise their eyebrows. Feng Shishir threw herself onto his body, crying tears of joy. You're finally awake. That's great. You're finally awake. Tang Zheng lightly patted her back and said, Don't cry. I'm fine. Is your body okay? He still remembered the situation at that time and was deeply afraid that she would also be injured. I'm fine. You saved me, so I won't argue with you anymore. I won't be angry with you anymore. Feng Shishir said while choking with sobs. Xi Mingqin saw this scene and was so angry that smoke was coming out of her 7 orifices. Finally, she could not help but angrily shout, Tang Zheng, let go of my daughter. What kind of scandal is this? Feng Shishir did not let go of Tang Zheng. Instead, she hugged him even tighter and quietly whispered in his ear. Ignore her. Seeing that the two people did not react and that Tang Zheng was hugging her daughter even tighter, Xi Mingqin's face became extremely gloomy. She directly rushed over to pull her daughter away, but she saw a figure flash, and Feng Xinyang was already blocking her in front of the bed. She looked at her with a smile that was not a smile and said, Do you want to make a move? The one who will suffer will definitely be you. Xi Mingqin subconsciously retreated 2 steps. Her expression was uncertain as she said, I'm educating my daughter. What does that have to do with you? You educating your daughter is not related to me. But if you want to deal with that handsome little brother Tang Zheng, then I will have to interfere. You. Xi Mingqin was speechless. With swords drawn and bows bent, Tang Zheng patted Feng Shishir's back, indicating for her to get up. Only then did Feng Shishir reluctantly get up. This time, she hugged Tang Zheng in front of so many people. She was a bit embarrassed, but sometimes it was hard to control herself, and there was nothing she could do. Mom, don't make a fuss, she advised. But these words were no different from adding fuel to the fire. As expected, Xi Mingqin pointed at her own nose and asked, I'm making a fuss? How am I making a fuss? Sure, since he's awake, then hurry back to school and go to class. I'm not going. I want to accompany him. Feng Shishir held onto her hand, abnormally firm. Big brother wants to accompany me. A childish voice sounded out. Nana took advantage of the fact that no one was paying attention to climb onto the bed. She threw herself onto Tang Zheng's body and sweetly smiled. Big brother, you're finally awake. Nana already knew that Big Brother would definitely be fine. Big Brother is the most powerful person in the world. Nana's interruption caused the tense atmosphere to weaken by quite a bit. Many people subconsciously looked towards Nana and Tang Zheng, only to see Tang Zheng looking at Nana in shock. He subconsciously asked, Nana, why are you here? When his voice fell, Tang Zheng realized that something was wrong. He actually called out her name in front of so many people. He should have pretended not to know her. As expected, several people looked at him at the same time. Mu Hongyin's entire body trembled as she finally recognized the voice. She pointed at him and said, You are. Tang Zheng hurriedly coughed and gave Mu Hongyin a look. Mu Hongyin's heart understood, and she swallowed the words that were about to come out of her mouth. However, everyone could clearly see the shock on her face. Mu Hongyin was simply too excited. Tang Zheng's voice was too familiar. This was the senior godly doctor that she had always been looking for. Moreover, he also called out Nana's name. Mu Hongyin was almost instantly sure of his identity. This also explained why Nana liked him so much. Mu Hongyin was truly surprised and happy. She did not know what to do and could only take a few steps forward. She gratefully and respectfully said, It's really great to see you. Tang Zheng nodded his head and smiled but did not say anything. However, the others were baffled by Mu Hongyin's reaction. Shi Mingqin was especially dumbstruck as if she had seen a ghost. After all, she still had some eyesight. From Mu Hongyin's temperament, she could tell that the other party was not simple. However, she was actually so respectful to Tang Zheng and even had a cautious feeling. This was simply inconceivable. She subconsciously pondered, Why is this little brat so strange? How does he know so many powerful people? Feng Xinyang thoughtfully looked at the two people but did not interrupt. However, the king of medicine had already impatiently rushed forward. He extended his hand to grab Tang Zheng's wrist to investigate. Tang Zheng's nerves suddenly trembled. He flipped his wrist and instinctively pointed his finger. Like a sharp sword, it pierced forward. Chapter 99. The king of medicine let out a surprised cry as he quickly retracted his hand and said, Don't misunderstand. I don't want to hurt you. I am a doctor, and I just want to see what is wrong with your body. Tang Zheng did not relax. As a doctor with a 9th stage natal stage cultivation, this was no longer an ordinary doctor. Thank you. I am already well, and do not need to be examined. Tang Zheng had 9 main meridians, and this old man could easily find out. Moreover, his true energy and inner strength were completely different, so he could not casually let the other party examine him. The medicine unwillingly said, Young man, you were unconscious for a few days. This is very strange, and we have to figure it out. Otherwise, what will we do if there is any future trouble? Tang Zheng firmly shook his head. I am clear about my own body, so there is no need. Thank you. The king of medicine was unwilling as he looked towards Feng Xinyang, hoping that she would persuade him as he was too interested in Tang Zheng. Feng Xinyang smiled as she knew that Tang Zheng was not normal. Since he did not want others to examine him, then she could not force him and said, Senior king of medicine, since the little handsome brother is already well, then there is no need to examine him. This time it is all thanks to you. The king of medicine regretfully shook his head and said, I did not do much as he woke up on his own. But it really is strange. His body is too strange. Sure, help me get out of the hospital. Is identical to, continue. I want to leave the hospital. Tang Zheng did not want to be surrounded by so many people, so he said, You just woke up. How can you be in such a hurry to leave the hospital? I am already fine, look. Tang Zheng directly got off the bed. See, he sucked in a breath of cold air as he felt a piercing pain in his ribs. Who told you to be brave? You broke 2 ribs, do you know that? Feng Shishi's eyes were red as she held onto his arm like a wife taking care of her husband. Shi Mingqin wanted to flip out, but in the end, she controlled herself. Tang Zheng felt that his ribs were indeed broken, but it was not a big problem. It was not convenient for him to be in the hospital. Besides, his grandfather was still at home. so it was better to go home and recuperate. Therefore, he continued to insist on being discharged from the hospital. Feng Shishir could not persuade him, so she could only go through the discharge procedures. Thank you all for coming to see me. I appreciate your kindness. I will thank you one by one another day. Tang Jing nodded to the others. Little handsome, you don't have to be so polite with me. Since you're awake, then I'm relieved. Our family's ding-dang is also very worried about you. She came yesterday and today. She also said that she wanted to come, but I drove her to school. Feng Xinyang said with a smile. At this time, he still had to show his concern for his daughter. Tang Zheng felt warmth in his heart. In the past, when he was in trouble, only his grandfather cared about him. Now that so many people cared about him, he really felt good and warm. Mu Hongyin stared at him blankly. She finally mustered up her courage and said, "Can I talk to you in private?" Okay. Tang Jing agreed. Since the other party had already recognized him, there was no way to hide this matter. The others could only leave the ward. The King of Medicine looked back 3 times as he walked, his eyes shining as he looked at Tang Zheng. He was very reluctant to part with him. Tang Zheng really did not understand who this old man was. In short, for this kind of expert, he was a little wary. Senior Godly Doctor, I didn't expect to see you here, Mu Hongyin's expression became excited and a little incoherent. Tang Zheng waved his hand, indicating for her to calm down. He calmly said, "Perhaps this is God's will. Since you have seen my true face, then in the future don't call me senior. My name is Tang Zheng. You can call me by my name." "How can that be? If you call me senior, what will others think? So it's better to call me by my name. Moreover, I hope you won't tell anyone about this." Tang Zheng still wanted to keep a low profile. Mu Hongyin nodded to express her understanding. Nana, who had been holding Tang Zheng's hand, shook it and said, "Big brother, I have never told our secret to anyone, including my mother." "I know. Nana is the most obedient." Tang Zheng smiled bitterly. If Mu Hongyin did not personally come, perhaps this secret would continue to be kept. Mu Hongyin saw that the relationship between the two was so harmonious and relaxed a little. She smiled and said, "This little girl even keeps it a secret from me. She is closer to you than to me." "Mother is talking nonsense. I am equally close to the two of you." Nana hurriedly corrected. "Sin." Tang Zheng. Mu Hongyin subconsciously wanted to call him senior again, but in the end she changed her words and said, "The King of Medicine does not have any ill intentions. He is a highly respected doctor who has treated Nana before." This time he heard that she had recovered, so he rushed over. "Yesterday, it was Feng Xinyang who personally invited him to treat you." Tang Zheng suddenly understood and glanced at the King of Medicine through the glass on the door. He found that even through the glass, the King of Medicine's gaze was still burning. "So he is a medical maniac, but I hope you can keep the fact that I cured Nana a secret," Tang Zheng warned. "Of course I will keep it a secret, but the King of Medicine has always wanted to find you. He has an old friend who is suffering from a chronic illness and wants to ask you to treat him." Other than relying on the life-prolonging pill, Tang Zheng was not as good at treating common illnesses as a normal doctor, let alone this seemingly powerful King of Medicine. He quickly shook his head and refused. "No, my medical skills are not high, so I can't help you. So please keep my identity a secret." Tang Zheng, I have a presumptuous request. The King of Medicine is a kind and benevolent person. He has saved many people and has also helped Nana a lot in the past. I can't bear to lie to him, so can you please make an exception? I promise that this matter will not be known to many people, only the King of Medicine. After all, it is a matter of life and death." Tang Zheng hesitated. "Tang Zheng, I know this request is too much, but I have experienced this kind of thing before. I know very well how desperate the patient and the other person's family feel. They really hope for a miracle and a glimmer of hope." Tang Zheng glanced at Nana. She was playing with Tang Zheng's fingers. When she saw him looking at her, she revealed a bright smile. It was extremely cute. He couldn't help but think of his grandfather. He gradually understood Mu Hongyin's feelings. Moreover, his grandfather had always taught him to be a good person. His heart softened and he said, "Okay, but this matter can't be spread. only the few of us know. As for his old friend, we will arrange another time to treat him. Tang Zheng did not intend to force himself. If he could help, he would naturally help. If he couldn't, then it was the will of the heavens. Mu Hongyan hurriedly nodded and thanked him repeatedly. Tang Zheng sat in the Fong family's car and returned home. Fong Shishir supported him into the small house. Shi Mengqin disdainfully stood far away. This was her first time coming to this kind of place. She wanted nothing more than to run away, but she couldn't. Otherwise, there would only be one man and one woman left. God knows what would happen. I really don't have any major problems. It doesn't hurt much anymore. Tang Zheng sat down. Seeing Fong Shishir's pained expression, he hurriedly said, "Your bones are all broken. How can it be so easy? Be good and lie down on the bed." Fong Shishir did not have any resistance to this simple and crude house. She gently helped him onto the bed and even personally took off his shoes. Tang Zheng was helpless. He could only lie on the bed and watch her busy figure. His heart felt warm. "Shishir, come over and sit for a while." He waved his hand. Fong Shishir obediently sat by his side. "Are you still angry at me?" Fong Shishir hurriedly shook her head. "No, I won't be angry at you anymore. I know you treat me well. We won't listen to other people's gossip." "Good, that's good." Tang Zheng held her hand, completely satisfied. "Bo." Fong Shishir kissed him and said, "This time you really scared me to death. You should rest well. I'll go back to school first, otherwise my mom will start screaming again." "Okay, I'll rest well." Tang Zheng hugged her waist and kissed her lips. She also responded fiercely, and only after a long while did she part with the desire to continue. "You're injured, yet you're still not obedient. Rest well. Once you're better, you can do whatever you want. I'll listen to you." Fong Shishir finished speaking. Her face turned red all the way to her neck. Tang Zheng's heart beat faster as he asked, "Really? Guess for yourself." Fong Shishir charmingly smiled. She turned around and ran out of the door, leaving only her beautiful back. "AI, it seems that I need to quickly heal and get better." Tang Zheng excitedly thought, "Little brat, you're finally enlightened." Tian Chanzi once again appeared. "Quickly take down this little girl. The problem of your pure yang energy eruption can be temporarily solved. Eavesdropping is a bad habit. That won't do. I'm already a 4th grade refining chi cultivator. I need to practice the sealing technique. When the time comes, I'll seal you so you can't see what you shouldn't see." Tang Zheng said. Tian Chanzi indignantly shouted, "Little brat, do you think I'm a hoodlum? I'm a high-level cultivator. Do you think I don't understand the principle of not looking at indecent things? High-level cultivator? Humph, I think you're no different from a hoodlum." Tang Zheng retorted, "Quickly teach me the sealing technique and also how to use true fire to refine pills. Little brat, don't be in a hurry to cultivate. I have something important to tell you." Tian Chanzi's voice became deep and serious. "What is it?" "Little brat, your body is strange. You know that the average person's true fire is in their dantian, but yours is in their sea of consciousness. Do you know why there is such a huge difference?" "Why?" "You and I are not the same kind of people." "Nonsense, I'm a young man. You're a 1,000-year-old monster." "Nonsense, I'm saying that you and I are not of the same race," Tian Chanzi said, flustered and exasperated. "Not of the same race? Don't tell me you're not a human, but a monster? Don't pester me endlessly. Humans are also divided into many races, just like how there are many races now. A long time ago, many races coexisted in an environment, but they fought with each other. In the end, only one race remained, which is the current human race." "You mean I'm not a human?" "I don't know the specifics. After all, tens of thousands of years have passed. In short, the secret of your body must not be known to outsiders. Otherwise, you will be killed. Just like the king of medicine from before, although his skill is not very profound, after all, his medical skills are superb. If you let him examine your body, it will be easy for him to find some clues. Of course, 4 things that happened thousands of years ago, he certainly doesn't know, but this is also a risk that must be avoided. Do you understand?" Tian Chanzi warned. Tang Zheng was dumbfounded. It was a bit difficult for him to accept this information. How did he become non-human? Chapter 100. After a long time, Tang Jing finally digested this information, but he gradually understood that his strange body had so many secrets, and these secrets were fatal. But your race's cultivation is very abnormal. Just like you, advancing by leaps and bounds. You're simply not human. Oh, you're not human. Tian Chanzi sighed. Fuck, you're not human. Tang Zheng angrily said. Calm down. In fact, this is not a bad thing. After all, your cultivation speed is fast. As long as you have strength, even if your identity is exposed, others will not be able to do anything to you. Tian Chanzi comforted. It's not you. Of course you're not worried. But what should I do now? Speed up your cultivation. Become stronger before others find out your secret. The stronger the better. You and I are of the same mind. So you don't have to worry about me leaking your secret. This time you broke through to the 4th grade refining qi. I also obtained a lot of benefits. My soul has become a lot stronger, and in time I will be able to find a suitable host and be reborn. Tang Zheng's mood gradually calmed down. There was no use in worrying about this matter, so he decided to cultivate, regardless of his injuries. First was the sealing technique. Tian Chanzi reluctantly passed it on to him. He tried it several times, and it was very useful. As long as he silently recited the incantation and activated his true qi, Tian Chanzi could only shut up and be sealed. This made Tian Chanzi so angry that he cried out, scolding him for being ungrateful. How could he use him as an experiment? Tang Zheng shrugged his shoulders and ignored him. In any case, there was no one else to test the sealing technique on, so he could only use Tian Chanzi to test it. In the end, Tian Chanzi could only silently protest. The next step was to use his true fire to refine pills. He took out the 9 revolving pill furnace from under the bed. The furnace was pitch black and covered with a layer of dust. For the 9 revolving pill furnace to be thrown under the bed by you, it is truly a waste. Tian Chanzi bitterly said. Tang Zheng shrugged and said, this room is only so big. Where else can I put it if I don't put it under the bed? Don't talk nonsense. How should I use this thing? Circulate your power and inject your true qi into it. Tang Zheng circulated the ancient clear heaven scroll, and a stream of true qi flowed out from his palm into the 9 revolving pill furnace. Wong. A melodious sound echoed as the 9 revolving alchemy furnace soared into the air. Its pitch-black exterior emitted a layer of black light as it slowly rotated. This pill furnace has been covered in dust for a long time. You must first awaken its spirituality before you can refine pills. Tang Zheng suddenly realized that this true qi was the method used to awaken the spiritual nature of the pill furnace. The 9 revolving pill furnace spun faster and faster until it finally turned into a black light, and a little bit of blue light seeped out from the black light. It was like a piece of black cloth wrapped around a light bulb. The light from the light bulb passed through the black cloth and grew more and more. In the end, the black light disappeared and a green light filled the entire room. The melodious buzzing sound was like the sound of ancient temple bells, making people feel relaxed and happy. Stop! Tang Zheng lightly waved his hand, and the 9 revolving alchemy furnace stopped rotating and steadily stopped on the ground. The blue light gradually converged as its exterior underwent a tremendous change. The originally swarthy exterior had turned into a blue color and emitted a faint ancient aura. Moreover, one could clearly see that there were many birds and beasts engraved on the exterior of the pill furnace. Most of them were creatures that Tang Zheng had never heard of before, so he simply did not know what they were. This is the true appearance of the 9 revolving alchemy furnace, Tian Chanzi proudly said. Tang Zheng was dumbstruck. After awakening the spiritual nature of the pill furnace, it unexpectedly underwent a heaven and earth change. If it was like this during the auction, then he definitely would not have been able to obtain it. Fortunately, the treasure furnace was covered in dust, so I was able to pick it up. He rejoiced. You should be thanking me. If it wasn't for me, then you wouldn't have this kind of dog shit luck. Tian Chanzi unceremoniously boasted. But I also have bad news to tell you. What? This 9 revolving alchemy furnace has been damaged and its quality has dropped by a lot. It unexpectedly became a yellow-level treasure. Tian Chanzi regretfully said. Tang Zheng turned pale with fright and said, "What? Didn't you say it was an earth-level treasure?" Treasures were divided into 4 ranks: heaven, earth, profound, and yellow. In other words, the 9 revolving alchemy furnace actually dropped from second place to last place. Tian Chanzi awkwardly coughed and explained, "Wasn't it covered in dust? That's why I misjudged it." Tang Zheng was speechless. "Little brat, don't be so unhappy. A yellow-level treasure is more suitable for you. Do you think an earth-level treasure is so easy to control? You need to have the appropriate cultivation and enough qi. You don't have enough right now, so using a yellow-level treasure to consolidate your foundation is the right way to go." Tang Zheng coldly snorted. In any case, he did not understand these things, so he could only let him say whatever he wanted. However, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. This was still a treasure after all. He fondly touched the 9 revolving alchemy furnace and felt extremely good. He finally had a treasure, his first treasure. Although this 9 revolving alchemy furnace has become a yellow-level treasure, it used to be an earth-level treasure. So in the future, you can find a way to repair it and turn it back into an earth-level treasure. That's possible? Of course, treasures can be upgraded. Don't you know this? Tian Chanzi proudly said. "You didn't say so. How would I know?" Tang Zheng retorted. Tian Chanzi acted as if he did not hear and continued. "When refining pills, you will draw the fire into the furnace. The refining method is the same as when you refine the life-continuing pill. Then I will first refine the spirit pill." Tang Zheng impatiently said, "First get the materials." "Right, what materials do you need?" Tian Chanzi pulled out a long list of materials. Fortunately, they were all materials that could be bought in pharmacies. Tang Zheng let out a sigh of relief. Refining pills requires a guiding herb, which is the most important ingredient. The spirit pill does not require something as precious as the heaven-fragrant flower. It only needs a 300-year-old ginseng. 300-year-old? Tang Zheng was dumbstruck. Even if he did not understand the market, he knew that 300-year-old ginseng was not easy to find. It was a treasure that could only be found by chance. Tian Chanzi actually said that it was not precious and was sloppy. It's only 300-year-old. You should know that there were many thousand-year-old ginseng. What is this, country bumpkin, making a fuss about nothing? Tian Chanzi said disapprovingly. That was in ancient times. You also know that the spiritual energy is thin now. Where would you find this 300-year-old ginseng? Tang Zheng was very depressed. Heaven never bars one's way. Let's find it. Moreover, don't you still have 900,000 left? Use this money to buy it. By my ass. 300-year-old ginseng. You want to buy it with 900,000? Dream on. Tian Chanzi laughed and said, "Then that is not my problem. In any case, I have already told you the recipe." Tang Zheng was worried about the ginseng. On the other hand, the king of medicine was shocked by the news he heard. He never would have thought that this strange youth was actually that mysterious godly doctor. Suddenly, he became even more interested in Tang Zheng. He wanted to slice him up and study him carefully. It was really too shocking. "Senior king of medicine, at that time I promised Tang Zheng that this matter would not be spread, so please do not tell too many people. When the time comes, just arrange for your old friend to treat him." Mu Hongyan said, "I will definitely keep it a secret. Heh, since his medical skills are so high, then I will find a chance to compare notes with him." The king of medicine said excitedly. He then impatiently contacted Yi Xuanji and told him that he had found the godly doctor. He would bring him to visit the godly doctor tomorrow. One must know that Tang Dahai was a person who was judged by the doctor to not have many days left to live. However, the truth was in front of him, and he had to believe it. Before Yi Tianlei could answer, the king of medicine rushed to Tang Dahai as if he had seen a delicious cake. Chapter 101. The king of medicine held onto Tang Dahai's wrist. His expression became strange as he muttered to himself, "Magical, too magical. a withered tree rejuvenated, full of life. This medical skill is too magical. This old man is ashamed of his inferiority. Sogu, 360. Soso Search, free download of novels. The few people were shocked by the king of medicine, but when they heard him muttering to himself, they were deeply shocked. Especially Yi Xuanji. He had known the king of medicine for most of his life, but he had never seen him say words of inferiority to anyone. The king of medicine had always been the one standing at the top. Others could not even look up to him, but he actually took the initiative to admit his inferiority. This was too inconceivable. But Yi Xuanji suddenly had a greater hope. This showed that the godly doctor was brilliant. Maybe he really could be saved. Tang Dahai looked at him blankly and asked, "Excuse me, what's the matter?" The king of medicine looked at Tang Dahai excitedly and said, "Did you have a serious illness in the past, and your life was almost cut off, but in the end, you were cured by someone with magical medical skills?" Tang Dahai was shocked and said, "I was sick before, but the doctor in the hospital cured me, and now I feel like I have endless energy." "Which doctor?" "This I don't know. You'll have to ask my grandson." "Little Zhang, quickly come out," Tang Dahai shouted. Tang Zhang had long heard the commotion outside, especially the king of medicine. He knew that he must have brought a patient here, and thought that since he had to treat his, but as soon as possible, he walked out. But when he saw Yi Xuanji and Yi Tianlei, his gaze turned cold. What were they doing here? Suddenly, his heart moved, remembering that Yi Tianlei wanted him to treat Yi Xuanji's illness. Could it be that the king of medicine's old friend was Yi Tianlei? He instantly figured out the details, and his face naturally became ugly. He nodded towards Yi Tianlei and asked, "Uncle Yi, why are you here?" Yi Tianlei smiled and said, "Senior king of medicine found a godly doctor, so I brought my father here to seek treatment." Yi Xuanji coldly looked at Tang Zhang. "Why is this brat here again?" Because Tang Zhang messed up the marriage he arranged for Yi Dingdang, he did not have a good impression of Tang Zhang. "Oh, there's no genius doctor here. You've come to the wrong place," Tang Zhang lightly said. However, the king of medicine was one step ahead of him. He walked up to Tang Zhang and laughed. "If I still had doubts yesterday, I really have no doubts at all after seeing this old man today. Xuanji, my old friend, your illness will be in the hands of this miracle-working doctor." Yi Xuanji followed the king of medicine's finger and saw that it was pointing at Tang Zhang. Even though Yi Xuanji had been through countless hardships, he almost tripped at this moment. "Are you kidding me?" Tang Zhang acted as if he didn't see it and turned around to go back into the house. At this moment, Tang Dahai seemed to have lost his soul. When did his grandson become a godly doctor? How come he didn't know? Moreover, these people seemed to have an extraordinary status, and they were so respectful towards Tang Zhang. He also felt a sense of pride. Seeing the awkward atmosphere, he immediately realized that there was a problem. Even though Tang Dahai picked up trash for a living, he still had the survival wisdom of a lower-class citizen. He wasn't an idiot, so he quickly invited them in. "Come in and sit. The house is a bit narrow, so don't mind." Would there be anyone who would dare to mind? Seeing Tang Zhang's attitude, if anyone dared to say even half a word of disdain, they would definitely be mercilessly kicked out. After all, these three people were much more cultured than Xi Mingqi. Even though this simple environment was incompatible with them, they still entered the house. Yi Xuanji also took advantage of the situation and followed in. "Little Zhang, quickly pour water for the guests," Tang Dahai ordered. Tang Zhang wouldn't go against his grandfather's wishes and poured water for the three people. "I'm really sorry, we don't have tea at home, so we can only drink water," Tang Dahai said apologetically. As a simple and honest old man, if there were guests in the house, he would naturally want to use the best things to greet them. If he didn't treat them well, he would feel especially embarrassed. This was the most simple way of thinking for a normal person. No need to go through so much trouble. Yi Tianlei drank a mouthful and awkwardly laughed. He had no idea how today's situation would develop. Yi Xuanji was like a wooden person. He didn't even touch the cup with his finger. His two eyes stared straight ahead without any expression. The king of medicine laughed and took the initiative to break the silence, saying, "Yesterday, I didn't have a good chat with this little friend. Today, we must chat to our heart's content. Tang Zheng said without batting an eyelid, Senior King of Medicine, you are the titan of the medical world and I am just an insignificant high school student. I don't think we have anything in common. Haha, that's not necessarily true. My thoughts are not pedantic and I am also very interested in learning about you young people. Moreover, we are both people who study medicine. In terms of professional knowledge, there are many things that we can discuss. The King of Medicine said disapprovingly, I'm afraid I have to disappoint you. In terms of medical knowledge, I only know a little. Compared to the average medical student, I'm much worse. I'm sorry to disappoint you. Tang Zheng said honestly. He studied alchemy and not the various diseases of medical school. The King of Medicine obviously didn't believe him and thought that the other was being modest. He said, little friend is too modest. Just based on the fact that you cured your grandfather, Tianlei and Nana, you are already worthy of the title of godly doctor. Tang Dahai had been in a daze the entire time. When he heard that his illness was actually cured by Tang Zheng, he looked at him in confusion. It was just an accident. Tang Zheng didn't take the credit. The King of Medicine slowly shook his head and sighed. It's rare to have such ability at such a young age and not be arrogant and complacent. It's too rare. If I had such a successor, even if I died, I would have no regrets. Although the King of Medicine's medical skills were superb, he didn't have a successor. These years, he had been running around looking for a successor, but he couldn't find a suitable candidate. Yi Tianlei's eyelids twitched as he looked eagerly at Tang Zheng. It seemed that he wanted Tang Zheng to agree to be the disciple of the King of Medicine. This was an opportunity that many people who studied medicine dreamed of. But Tang Zheng turned a blind eye and didn't seem to be moved at all. The King of Medicine squeezed out a lonely smile and said, but I can see the legendary life-continuing pill before I die. This already makes me have no regrets. Tang Zheng didn't change his expression. Since the other party came looking for him, he obviously knew about the life-continuing pill. So he said, since you know about the life-continuing pill, then just say it. This is all because of the life-continuing pill. It has nothing to do with me. Hearing that the other party directly admitted the existence of the life-continuing pill, the King of Medicine couldn't suppress his excitement and asked nervously, do you still have it? Can I take a look? This was like a child seeing his favorite toy and wanted to look at it. Tang Zheng hesitated for a moment, then took out a porcelain bottle from his pocket and handed it to the King of Medicine. The King of Medicine's body suddenly sat up straight. He stretched out his hands and carefully took the porcelain bottle. His face was serious and solemn, just like a religious disciple holding a holy object. The others couldn't help but be attracted by the porcelain bottle. They stared at it without blinking, especially Yi Xuanji. Even his breathing became a little chaotic. They didn't know what the life-continuing pill was, but if it could make the King of Medicine so serious, then it must be something extraordinary. Tang Zheng didn't look sideways. His eyes looked straight ahead as if the porcelain bottle was nothing in his eyes. Comparing the two, Tang Zheng's aura was clearly much higher than the others. Tian Chanzi said with disdain, it's just a life-continuing pill. Why are they making it so grand? They really are a group of country bumpkins who haven't seen the world. Chapter 102. The King of Medicine slowly placed the bottle in his palm and slightly tilted it. A perfectly round pill rolled into his palm. It was sparkling and translucent, emitting a faint fragrance like a pearl. The King of Medicine's eyes stared straight at the life-continuing pill. He swallowed a mouthful of saliva and excitedly said, this is the life-continuing pill. Everyone else also focused their attention, especially Yi Xuanji. He had already determined the effects of this pill from the 3 words life-continuing pill. His hands subconsciously grabbed onto the chair as his veins bulged, revealing his true feelings. Yi Tianlei praised, this life-continuing pill is really beautiful. What does it do? Since it's called the life-continuing pill, of course it's used to extend life. The King of Medicine said as he looked at Tang Zheng, as if he wanted to ask for confirmation. Tang Zheng nodded and said, this life-continuing pill can extend one's life by 10 years. Hiss. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. especially the king of medicine, Yi Xuanji, and Yi Tianlei. The three of them were all too clear on what this meant. Other people said that the king of medicine had the ability to revive the dead and regrow flesh and bones. But that was just an exaggeration. But this life-continuing pill was truly miraculous. It could extend one's life by 10 years. Just how precious was this pill? It simply couldn't be measured with money. There were so many rich and powerful people in the world. If they could extend their lives by 10 years, they would be willing to go bankrupt. Who wouldn't want to live? Everyone's hearts began to beat wildly. Yi Xuanji's fingers almost sunk into the wood of the chair. He desired the life-continuing pill the most because he didn't have much time left. If he wanted to live, he would even steal it. But in front of his life, what was stealing? The king of medicine's breathing also became hurried. Seeing this legendary pill, he even had the urge to swallow it. He took a deep breath and put the life-continuing pill back into the porcelain bottle. Everyone's eyes were attracted to the porcelain bottle. For a long time, they were unwilling to move away until Tang Zheng casually put the porcelain bottle back into his pocket. What was a priceless treasure in the eyes of others was like a small toy to him, and he was not as cautious as the others. This comparison made the others feel that Tang Zheng was even more unfathomable. Even Yi Tianlei, who was very familiar with Tang Zheng, couldn't help but change his impression of Tang Zheng. May I ask, how is this life-continuing pill made? The king of medicine took a deep breath and asked. He felt that this question was very presumptuous. How could he tell others how to make such a priceless treasure? Of course, Tang Zheng knew the method, but how could he say it? He wouldn't even tell anyone that he was the one who refined it. He understood the principle of treasuring a jade ring becomes a crime. So, he directly shook his head and said, I don't know. The king of medicine couldn't hide the disappointment on his face and said, Then who gave it to you? Someone else. Is it your master? Yi Tianlei asked. He still had a deep impression of Tang Zheng's mysterious master. Tang Zheng laughed inwardly and nodded seriously. Yes, godly doctor. Your master must be a godly doctor, an expert. The king of medicine exclaimed. Heaven Monk chuckled and said, This brat still knows how to talk. He knows that my abilities are great. In his eyes, the medicine king who was over 70 years old was just a brat. Narcissist. Tang Zheng choked him. I want to pay a visit to your master, may I? The king of medicine was really like a religious pilgrim, respectful and reverent. How could Tang Zheng make a groundless master out of nowhere? He directly shook his head. No, my master travels the world. I don't even know where to find him. The king of medicine's face dimmed. He shook his head and sighed. What a pity, such an expert. If I could get a few pointers from him, my medical skills would definitely improve by leaps and bounds. Then how many life-continuing pills do you have? Yi Xuanji finally couldn't help but ask. Right now, he only had eyes for the life-continuing pill. This was a treasure that could save his life. Tang Zheng gave him a playful look and said, There's only one. Only one? Yi Xuanji couldn't hide his disappointment. If there were a few more pills, it would increase his lifespan by a few decades. Then the Ye family would definitely suppress the other families and become the #1 family. At any time, Yi Xuanji would always consider the interests of his family. The king of medicine looked at Yi Xuanji and hesitantly asked, Little friend, there is a problem with grandfather Ye's cultivation, so he needs the life-continuing pill to pass this stage. I wonder if you can give the pill to him. Of course, there is a price. You sold it to Nana for 200,000. I believe the Ye family won't sell it for less than that. Yi Xuanji was shocked. A single life-continuing pill was only sold for 200,000 gold coins. This price was a bit too low. But at this time, he didn't think too much about it. The most important thing was to obtain the life-continuing pill. So he waved his hand and boldly said, 2 million. Sell the life-continuing pill to me. Actually, he could give a higher price. But the other pill was only sold for 200,000. If the price was too high, he was worried that Tang Zheng would raise the price and have the opposite effect. Tang Zheng gave a low laugh and said, What a big deal, 2 million. Yi Xuanji was full of confidence. 2 million? Many people wouldn't be able to earn that much in their lifetime. For a high school student, the temptation was self-evident. Moreover, Tang Zheng's family wasn't well off, so the temptation was even greater. Yi Xuanji was full of confidence, especially when he heard that Tang Zheng had already sold a pill. This showed that he was obsessed with money. Everyone looked at Tang Zheng attentively. On the contrary, Tang Dehai wasn't too nervous. It was as if 2 million was no different from his $200. Give me the life-continuing pill, and I'll call someone to give you the money, Yi Xuanji said. The corner of Tang Zheng's mouth raised, and he suddenly laughed. Everyone looked at him with a complicated expression, waiting for his answer. Not selling. The laughter suddenly stopped as Tang Zheng firmly said, "Not selling." Everyone was shocked. Yi Xuanji's heartstrings trembled as he hurriedly asked, "How can you not sell? The item is mine. If I say I'm not selling, then I'm not selling," Tang Zheng said without any trace of politeness. Yi Xuanji's face immediately turned purple as he gasped for breath. The matter that he was originally confident in was ruined. Yi Xuanji clenched his teeth and said, "How much do you want? I'll give it to you." For the sake of his life, he didn't take the initiative to offer a price. He wanted to see what kind of price Tang Zheng would offer. "Throwing money, is it? I like money, but why should I sell it to you? This thing has a price, but no supply. However much you offer, others will also give you. Then what do you want?" Yi Xuanji suppressed his anger and asked. He was already sure that Tang Zheng was deliberately making things difficult for him. "Nothing. I don't want to sell it to you. It's that simple." Tang Zheng didn't care about the other party's identity. Yi Xuanji had always been high and mighty. Moreover, he actually went to the school gate to block him. Tang Zheng still hadn't vented his anger. Tang Zheng wasn't someone who would seek revenge for the smallest grievance. He even listened to his grandfather's teachings and was a very magnanimous person. However, for someone like Yi Xuanji who had been in a high position for a long time to look down on an ordinary person like him made him very unhappy. "If you make me unhappy, then I can also make you unhappy. It's that simple." This rejection was so direct that it made the others a little confused. Why would he reject such a large sum of money? The king of medicine looked at him in astonishment. He didn't understand why he was willing to sell to Nana, but not to Yi Xuanji. Yi Tianlei looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated expression. He guessed the reason and couldn't help but secretly sigh. He advised, "Tang Zheng, the old man really needs the life-continuing pill. If you have any requests, we will do our best to satisfy you." Tang Zheng still shook his head and said, "Uncle Yi, if you need the life-continuing pill, I can give it to you for free. However, if he wants it, I won't sell it to him no matter how much it costs." Yi Tianlei was speechless. Yi Xuanji's face was extremely gloomy as he asked, "Why?" Tang Zheng glanced at him and bluntly said, "How you treated me before, you know it yourself. Moreover, why would I save someone who doesn't even care about his own granddaughter's happiness? I'm doing this for the benefit of the family. What do you know?" Tang Zheng laughed. "For the benefit of the family, you can sacrifice your family's happiness. Very good. So this is the so-called family. I've really learned something. Then what's the point of staying in this kind of family? If it was me, I would leave this kind of family as far as possible." Yi Xuanji's eyes were already red. He was angry and was about to flip out. Tang Zheng didn't seem to notice. He even looked at him and said, "What? You want to steal it? Of course I'm not your opponent. If you want to steal it, I can't do anything. However, this just proves the hypocrisy and evil of people like you." Tang Zheng's eloquence was pretty good. He made Yi Xuanji speechless. It was because Tang Zheng held the moral high ground that Yi Xuanji couldn't refute. "Ignorant brat. Arrogant. I am arrogant. I'm not even a member of your family. What can you do about me?" Tang Zheng was really arrogant. Yi Tianlei broke out in a cold sweat. He never dared to speak to his father like this. "If you don't want to steal it, then forgive me for not seeing you off." Tang Zheng directly asked him to leave. Yi Xuanji looked at Tang Zheng coldly. His murderous intent was exposed. He really felt like he was going to kill and steal it. However, Tang Zheng still had a smile on his face and didn't move. "Let's go." Suddenly, Yi Xuanji turned around and left. Yi Tianlei let out a long sigh. He nodded at Tang Zheng and chased after him. The king of medicine looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated expression. He didn't know what to say. After thinking for a while, he said, If you are interested in learning from each other, I'm happy to. Moreover, your body is special. If you have any questions, you can come to me. The next time you see your master, I hope you can introduce him to me. Since Tang Zheng wasn't a real genius doctor, there was no need for the king of medicine to continue the conversation. Moreover, they couldn't talk in this kind of atmosphere. However, he still couldn't forget his mysterious master. Seeing the three people leave, Tang Zheng didn't regret it. However, when he saw his grandfather's complicated expression, he knew that he had too many questions. Moreover, he didn't know what his grandfather would think of his actions just now. So far, the person Tang Zheng cared about the most was his grandfather. He cared about his attitude the most. Tang Dehai smiled kindly and patted Tang Zheng's shoulder. He had something to say. Feng Xinyang just happened to come in and see this scene, and was shocked. This anger was too great. She looked at her husband. Yi Tianlei shook his head with a bitter face, which made Feng Xinyang very puzzled. Didn't they go out to find the godly doctor? How did it become like this? Arrogant brat. I'm going to kill him. Yi Xuanji angrily roared. A whirlwind rose from the bottom of his feet, and the sawdust on the ground flew up, forming a strong killing intent. In an instant, the whole room was filled with an oppressive aura, causing people to tremble in fear. Father, calm down. Tang Zheng must have been confused for a moment. Wait for him to think it through. Yi Tianlei quickly advised. Confused for a moment? Humph, he is purposely targeting me. When have I ever been played by a brat like him? I must let him know how powerful I am. The dignity of the Ye family cannot be challenged. Yi Xuanji murderously said. Yi Tianlei swallowed his saliva and continued to persuade, Father, I will go and persuade him. I believe he will agree after he calms down. Didn't you hear what he said? He can use the life-continuing pill to save you all, but he won't save me. This was what made Yi Xuanji angry the most. This was clearly a slap to his face. As the head of the Ye family, he was too much of a failure. Just what is going on? Why is it related to Tang Zheng again? Feng Xinyang was confused. Yi Tianlei was at a loss of what to do, so he quickly whispered to his wife what had happened. Feng Xinyang was dumbstruck, but her heart was bursting with joy. She secretly said, I knew that this little handsome brother was not ordinary. To think that he was so handsome, so domineering. This old lady's eyes are really good. I cannot give up on this son-in-law. I must win him over. Yi Tianlei looked at his wife's expression and guessed what she was thinking. He bitterly smiled and said, Don't think about these messy things for now. How to get through this crisis is the most important thing. The old man urgently needs the life-continuing pill. We must think of a way to make Tang Zheng relent. Hee, I don't have that ability. Isn't the old man the head of the family? Let him make his own decisions. Feng Xinyang gloated. She really didn't have a good impression of her father-in-law. Looking at his wife who wished for the world to be in chaos, Yi Tianlei felt a headache and said, Feng Xinyang, quickly think of a way. Don't add fuel to the fire. Don't you know the old man's temper? If he really does make a move, then Tang Zheng will be in danger. Feng Xinyang thought that this was indeed the case. Yi Xuanji was determined to get the life-continuing pill. If he makes a move, then it will be a killing move. Although Tang Zheng has a mysterious master, he is not by his side. So how can he block Yi Xuanji's attack? I can't handle this matter, so let Ding Dang do it. Is there any use for her to do it? Hung, you're looking down on our daughter. She's more useful than you. Feng Xinyang's mouth hooked up into a faint smile, and immediately went to another room to call Yi Dingdong's cell phone. It just so happened that class had ended, so the mother and daughter began to whisper to each other, only to hear Yi Dingdang scream out, How is this possible? Hi hey, you didn't think that this little handsome brother would be that godly doctor. And he even has the life-continuing pill, this kind of heaven-defying treasure. This old mother's eyes aren't wrong. His guts are too big, daring to treat the old man like that. Yi Dingdang said in disbelief. This is called domineering, do you understand? Men need to be domineering. Only then can they have a manly spirit. Unlike those Xiao by whose face doesn't even have the strength to truss up a chicken, where even the wind can blow them away. Feng Xinyang sincerely praised. This kind of domineering little handsome brother is really too rare. If I was 20 years younger, I would have chased after him. Hey, Feng Xinyang, aren't you ashamed? Saying these kinds of words. Yi Dingdang was really speechless towards this mother of hers. Hi hey, it's just a hypothetical. What are you so nervous about? Relax, he is your man. So how could I steal my daughter's man? Feng Xinyang, can you not speak nonsense? Okay, let's talk about serious matters. Your chance has come. Do you understand? Feng Xinyang's face was full of smiles, as she said in all seriousness. Yi Dingdang was a little confused. What chance? Didn't you want to completely break off the marriage with Songyu? I don't have a marriage with him. That was arranged by the old man himself. I won't acknowledge it, Yi Dingdang firmly said. But you have to get past the old man. Only by making him relent. This is the fastest and best way to solve this problem. Yi Dingdang was silent. She had to admit that Feng Xinyang's words were true. Although she could use Tang Zheng to cause trouble, the old man was determined to facilitate this marriage. Then Yi Dingdang would be in a very passive position. What to do specifically, you tell me. Hi hey, be good. Listen to this old mother. It will definitely succeed. Don't keep me in suspense. Feng Xinyang immediately gave her instructions, and Yi Dingdang continuously nodded her head. In the end, she was overjoyed. This will definitely work. You must do it as soon as possible. Go to Tang Zheng's house after school, understand? I'll send you the address later. Be smart. This is your chance. Don't be like a silly girl. You see that Feng Shishir is so proactive. Her family is so against it, but she is determined to throw herself at the little handsome guy. And this old mother is your strong backing. If you still can't take down Tang Zheng, then this old mother's face will be completely lost by you. Okay. Stop being so fussy. You really are going through menopause. Yi Dingdang impatiently said. How is this old mother going through menopause? This old mother is still very young, and as beautiful as a flower. Damn girl, you're just jealous of my charm. Tell me clearly. Before she finished speaking, Yi Dingdang had already hung up the phone. Tang Zheng did not pay much attention to what Yi Xuanji would do. No matter what the other party did, he would not sit still and wait for death. He was no longer that bookworm who only knew how to read books. At this moment, he was moving forward step by step. Lin, whose little brother Dongzi, was leading the way. After being taught a lesson by Tang Zheng, he became very obedient. But this time he hurriedly ran to Tang Zheng for help. Even his clothes were stained with blood. It was said that Lin Hu and Big Head Fan were fighting in a small forest on the outskirts of the city. Big Head Fan took the initiative to challenge Lin Hu to a fight. Over 100 underlings from both sides fought fiercely. Boss Fan's power was originally slightly stronger than Lin Hu's, but the key point was that he was a third-grade refining body, a level higher than Lin Hu's cultivation level. So the battle situation was not optimistic. In the end, Lin Hu could only let his clever little brother Dong Zi run to Tang Zheng for help. Tang Zheng and Lin Hu's friendship was not bad, but with Boss Fan he had old enmity and new hatred. Today he would settle it all together. He already knew that Boss Fan went to the hospital to assassinate him, and also almost hurt Feng Shishir. This grudge was completely formed. Last time he let him go, but he did not expect that he would not change his evil nature. This time he would definitely not let him go. Dongzi, hurry up, your boss will be in more danger if we are late. Tang Zheng urged. Dongzi's head was full of sweat. He could only grit his teeth and follow Tang Zheng's footsteps. In the distance, bursts of fighting sounds could be heard. This was a small forest in the suburbs. It was deserted. It was indeed suitable for fighting. Even the police would not care. In the distance, Tang Zheng saw that the two groups of people were still fighting. But it was obvious that one side was at a disadvantage, retreating little by little. Hurry up and follow. I will go first. Tang Zheng tiptoed, like a rabbit jumping like a falcon landing. In an instant he was several meters away, causing Dong Zi to be speechless. Tang Zheng was as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye he arrived at the battlefield. Both sides were fighting with all their might. They did not even notice him. He frowned. The fighting on the streets was far crueler than he imagined. Chapter 104. The ground was splattered with blood. Severed arms were scattered on the ground, mixed with mud and weeds. The wounded were screaming on the side. This was the first time Tang Zheng had seen such a bloody scene, but he did not feel uncomfortable at all. Instead, his blood began to flow faster, and he felt a restless feeling. Sogu, 360, so-so. His adrenaline was rapidly secreting, and his mind was highly focused. He swept his gaze around and locked onto his targets, Lin Hu and Boss Fan. At this moment, both of them were holding machetes in their hands, and the blades were stained with blood. Both of them had wounds on their bodies, but Lin Hu's injuries were clearly more serious. He was limping, and although he was doing his best to resist, he was already showing signs of decline. Boss Fan came down from above, and his machete fiercely chopped down. Lin Hu took advantage of the situation to lower his body and wanted to dodge, but Boss Fan laughed sinisterly. The momentum of his machete suddenly changed, and in a flash, he chopped towards Lin Hu's back. Lin Hu wanted to block with his machete, but it was already too late. Blood splattered everywhere, and Boss Fan's machete cut open a large wound on Lin Hu's back, causing his muscles to bulge. Lin Hu groaned in pain, but he did not sit still and wait for death. He took advantage of the situation to jump and narrowly avoided the opponent's attack. Looking at this dangerous scene, the little brother beside him couldn't help at all. He could only let out a roar of unwillingness. Not greater than Tang Zheng moved. His feet flashed, and he rushed past one of the men. But when the man saw someone suddenly appear, he did not even think and chopped down with his machete. Tang Zheng did not even look and casually waved his hand. With a kachet sound, the man's wrist was broken, and the machete fell to the ground. The other man saw this, and with a wave of his machete, he chopped the man to the ground. These two groups of people had different armbands on their arms to distinguish them. The black armbands were Boss Fan's people, the blue armbands were Lin Hu's people, and the one who wanted to chop Tang Zheng up was Boss Fan's little brother. In front of Tang Zheng, another two lackeys who were fighting each other blocked his path. He locked onto the lackey with the black armband and gave him a flying kick. With a crack, the lackey's shin broke, causing him to lose his balance and fall to the ground in an instant. Then, he was slashed to the ground again by his opponent, crying like a ghost and howling like a wolf. Tang Zheng had knocked down 7 of Big Head Fan's lackeys in just a dozen meters. Many people had already noticed this Qin Yao Jin who had appeared out of nowhere. Many people wanted to chase after him, but they couldn't. In the blink of an eye, he arrived at the center of the battlefield. Lin Hu dodged the saber in a sorry state. His body was wounded again, and blood splattered everywhere. However, Lin Hu was still the boss. He clenched his teeth and did not give up. If he gave up, he would lose. If he lost, it would mean that all his hard work over the past few decades would be for naught. Lin Hu, you're about to die, yet you still don't want to surrender? Hee, you must be counting on that brat Tang Zheng to save you. Let me tell you, young Master Huang has already killed him, so you can stop daydreaming. Boss Fan had a feeling of exaltation. After leaving Huang Xiang's villa that night, he was certain that Tang Zheng would die without a doubt. Therefore, he didn't ask for confirmation. Instead, he gathered his lackeys and impatiently sent a letter of challenge to Lin Hu. The two groups of people pulled each other to the outskirts of the city and fought to the death. Whoever left standing would be the victor. This was the law of the underworld. Whoever had the bigger fist would be the boss, and their benefits would be greater. Moreover, this kind of letter of challenge was the most direct and easiest way to gain the approval of others. Ordinary balance wasn't limited to Lin Hu and Boss Fan's group. Others were also eyeing them covetously. Boss Fan was very confident. If he defeated Lin Hu in this way, then he would go to Lin Hu's territory and plant his flag. That would be his territory. This kind of method was called basking in the sun. It was to bask in the sun and then fight to the death. The winner would be the king, and the loser would be the bandit. Boss Fan, don't be arrogant. If you say Brother Tang is dead, then he's dead. Who do you think you are? Huang Xiang wants to kill him. Humph, dream on. Don't you know that Huang Xiang suffered a loss at his hands? Lin Hu grinned and retorted while enduring the pain. Boss Fan's heart trembled. He still didn't know that Huang Ziang suffered a loss at Tang Zheng's hands. However, these matters of the past were not important. The important thing was that Tang Zheng was dead. Haha, I see that you won't cry until you see the coffin. Then I'll send you to accompany him on the road to the Yellow Springs. Boss Fan stomped on the ground and soared into the air. Using the momentum of his fall, he fiercely chopped down at Lin Hu. Lin Hu hurriedly used his blade to block. Suddenly, he saw Tang Zheng behind Boss Fan. He was overjoyed at the unexpected good news. Boss Fan obviously didn't notice that there was an extra person behind him. Seeing that Lin Hu was about to be chopped down, Lin Hu seemed to be possessed and didn't move an inch. He didn't even try to block. Boss Fan was overjoyed and roared, "Lin Hu, accept your death." Bang! Before the chopping blade could fall, a strong force came from behind him. He directly flew over Lin Hu's head and fell flat on his face. F***ck, who sneak attacked me? Boss Fan reacted quickly. He pushed his palms against the ground and flipped over. He angrily glared at the attacker. Boss Fan, didn't you say that I was dead? Do you think I'm a human or a ghost? Tang Jing asked with a murderous look. Boss Fan was so scared that his eyes were wide open. He cried out in alarm. Why aren't you dead? It won't be that easy to kill me. Lin Hu was pleasantly surprised. Originally, when he saw Boss Fan's solemn vow and even brought out Huang Ziang, he almost believed that Tang Zheng was dead. But now it was clear that it was all nonsense. With Tang Zheng here, he would definitely win. Brother Tang, you're finally here. Tang Zheng lightly nodded and said, You rest for a bit. I'll deal with him. He tried to assassinate me before, so I'll settle the score with him now. He has big dog guts. He actually dares to try and assassinate you. Lin Hu angrily said. Boss Fan's eyes spun around, but he couldn't find a way to dissolve the hatred. It was clear that Tang Zheng wouldn't let him go. He gathered his courage and loudly roared, F***ck, Tang Zheng, don't think that I'm afraid of you. You're awesome, right? Today, I have dozens of brothers. I'll definitely chop you into pieces. Boss Fan brought over 80 people while Lin Hu only brought over 60. After this fierce battle, Boss Fan still had 34 brothers standing, so he had the confidence to do so. But Lin Hu wasn't someone to be trifled with. He said, Lin Hu, do you think that my 20 to 30 brothers are just decorations? Brothers, chop them up for me. Chop them up and Boss Fan's territory will be ours. Lin Hu's little brothers all responded loudly. Since their boss was so passionate, they naturally wouldn't hold him back. Tang Jing looked at Boss Fan with ridicule and said, Is this what you meant by chop me into pieces? I don't think so. Boss Fan subconsciously took a step back and said, Tang Zheng, don't be complacent. Young Master Huang is nearby. Young Master Huang has already mastered his godly technique. If you dare to act rashly, then you're dead. Then call him out. If you can't call him out, then I can only deal with you. Tang Zheng coldly laughed. Boss Fan panicked. Huang Ziang wasn't even here. He was just deliberately mystifying things. But he still braced himself and said, Is young Master Huang someone you can see just because you want to? If you obediently surrender, then young Master Huang may let you live. Haha, you only know how to blabber. As a boss, you're too weak. Tang Zheng stretched out his hand and directly attacked. After 2 days of recuperation, he unceasingly circulated his energy to heal his injuries. His broken ribs were almost completely healed, so it didn't affect his fighting ability. This time, he didn't use Transcendent Flying Immortal. Firstly, dealing with Boss Fan didn't require such exquisite martial arts. Secondly, last time he used it in front of Qin Lao. It attracted the attention of the other party, who even left ordinary balance overnight. This gave him a new understanding of Transcendent Flying Immortal. This sword technique was too powerful. If it fell into the eyes of others, it might not be a good thing. So he temporarily used the Heaven Gathering Hand. In any case, he was very familiar with the Heaven Gathering Hand. When he used it, the sky was filled with hand shadows. In the blink of an eye, he attacked in front of Boss Fan. Boss Fan raised his blade and chopped down. His blade technique wasn't bad. It was very methodical. Moreover, it was powerful and heavy. Its power was definitely not small. Tang Zheng didn't dodge. He raised one hand and blocked the other's wrist, making it impossible for the blade to come down. His other hand quickly slapped towards Boss Fan's chest. Boss Fan was shocked and hurriedly retreated. He slashed his blade in front of his chest, wanting to block Tang Zheng's hand. However, with a flash of his hand, Tang Zheng's hand went past his blade and slapped his chest with both palms. Pooh! Boss Fan spat out a mouthful of blood. His chest instantly caved in. He attacked with his back in an attempt to dissipate some of the force. However, Tang Zheng's attack was too powerful. Even if he managed to dissipate some of the force, it still wasn't easy. Tang Zheng easily dodged the blood. With a single step, he was beside Boss Fan. Boss Fan slashed his blade to the side, but found that the blade hit empty air. Tang Zheng's palm had silently struck below his ribs. Pong! This strike was very heavy. Boss Fan was directly sent flying and fiercely fell to the ground. Even his blade was knocked out of his hand. Tang Zheng was like a shadow as he stood beside Boss Fan and coldly said, "Now you know the consequences of offending me." Boss Fan was scared to death. He never thought that Tang Zheng's martial arts would have reached such a high level. He was like a completely different person compared to when they were in the arena. If he were to let those boxers exchange blows with him, they wouldn't be able to last more than a few moves. "Tang Zheng, please let me go. I will never be your enemy again." Boss Fan was scared. He hurriedly begged for mercy. As long as there was life, there was hope. In order to save his life, he had to admit defeat. Boss Fan wasn't a tough bone to begin with. If he was, then he wouldn't be so close to Huang Ziyang. "Let you go? Have you ever thought of letting me go?" Tang Zheng retorted. Boss Fan was at a loss for words. He had already gone to the hospital to assassinate Tang Zheng. How could he ever think of letting him go? "I was blinded by lard. I'm not a person. I'm a bastard. I won't dare to do it again." Boss Fan slapped himself in the face, causing half of his face to immediately swell up. "Tang Zheng, no, young Master Tang, let me go. I'll listen to you from now on. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. I'll be your dog." An untrained dog will bite its owner. Tang Zheng bent down and picked up the blade. He raised his hand and swung it down. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.